folks? Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. The show going. We're going to talk about a couple things that are all over the news today. These are they're developing stories, but nevertheless, they're fairly big news. These are stories that could likely swing some state elections. And we have a conversation for fodder. Now, we talked about Arizona just passing a pretty strict anti-abortion law. This law only allows provisions in the case where the mom's life is in danger. So that's it. If the mother's life is in danger, the medical professionals may terminate the pregnancy. Other than that, there is no out. This just came down from the Arizona Supreme Court today, just a few hours ago. So currently in Arizona right now, due to this 1864, I think the law goes back to like the 1800s, the mid 1800s, the Arizona Supreme Court decided to use that law. So currently in Arizona, the only way a woman can have an abortion is if her life is in danger. The rape and incest thing, not even an issue. So we're going to be talking about that. And we got essentially two side topics. One being Letitia James. Everybody knows about Letitia James. Once again, she is in the news, but on a lighter scale. She's not pounding the shit out of President Trump. So this is a little bit different. But once again, unfortunately, Republicans are downrange from Letitia James. She just settled a $1 million lawsuit. Why the hell am I bringing this to you? Well, the $1 million lawsuit was bestowed upon two conservative activists who were found liable for using robocalls to spread misinformation to black voters to discourage voting. Now, I know a lot of you folks may feel this is bullshit. We'll talk about it. What kind of robocalls, what misinformation were they spreading? Well, the calls would be automatic, targeting minority communities, suggesting that if you mail in a vote, if you use remember the folks on the right were not big fans of mail-in voting. Well, they were telling folks via the robocalls that voting by mail allowed the ballot officials to run traces and track you for warrants, allow credit card companies to have your information and look for ways to collect debts against you, and that the information would be stored in a database of some type. Turns out all of this is false. All of this is false. So they settled out of court with Letitia James, of all people, for $1 million. But this sounds like a minor story, but understand, folks, they were found liable for not only doing this in Letitia James' district of New York, they were found liable for doing it in Ohio, D.C. There are currently charges pending against them in Michigan, and the FCC, what is that, the Federal Communications Commission, they also have them for wire fraud for $5 million. Now, the only reason I'm bringing this up is because the overwhelming, the train of thought for the 2020 election is that all of the cheating was done by Democrats. All of the election theft, fraud, misinformation, ballot harvesting, you name it, all of the bad shit was done by Democrats. Republicans don't cheat, just Democrats do. So what we're going to be asking right off the bat is, with so many folks on the right either pleading guilty, dealing with indictments like down in Fulton County, Georgia, or in this case, Letitia James just grabbing a couple more folks, which the names are Jacob Wohl and Jack Berkman. Those are the conservative activists. I'm just going to ask the simple question is, why do so many folks, particularly my beloved MAGA, seem to think that only the Democrats are cheating? Do we dismiss all of the folks on the right that are pleading guilty and being, do we focus Do we have the belief that in the 2020 election, there certainly was cheating and all of it was Democrat? So those are going to be our couple topics we're going to discuss. Last but not least, make America great again. America first. I want to ask a simple question. Why are there so many folks on the right with President Biden right now talking about forgiving student loan debt? If we are an America first country, bring some of that money home that is being spent in Ukraine and take care of Americans. Why are folks on the right so against student loan debt forgiveness when the predominant recipient will be an American? I just want to get your opinion on that. That's what we're going to be hashing and discussing today. You know the program is always will remain MAGA friendly. Nevertheless, thank you. Wow, somebody just dropped a really nice subscription. Peachy with that extension. Thank you, Peachy. Certainly supports the program. Appreciate that. I can only say thank you over and over again. Thank you. I did see that. So, program is always will be MAGA friendly. We go left of Bernie Sanders, so I'm having dinner with QAnon. Nobody gets blocked, banned, or censored. You know how the program is being run. So I'm going to go straight into the comment section. So fix the problem. Cutting 20,000 is a Band-Aid that everyone else will pay. So do nothing? What is the opposing recommendation? You're suggesting that forgiving 20,000. You do understand forgiving a student loan can make a huge difference in the life of that person you're doing it for. So I'd be curious, why is the forgiveness of student loans so unpopular with folks on the right? Going straight to the box, we'll start it out with Jennifer, 1977. Good afternoon, Jennifer. You are on mute. Unmute your device. Good afternoon, Jennifer.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Why do you believe student loan debt forgiveness is so unpopular with folks on the right?
Okay. For me, whenever I was doing my daughter's paperwork to get her into college, we signed the paperwork. We knew the responsibility that we were going to have with that loan.
Okay.
I mean, if we just start, I just feel that if we start forgiving all these debts, it's going to just continue. When will it end?
So there's no possibility that you could forgive debts and stop it at that?
Okay.
Is guaranteed it's going to go on forever?
No, not necessarily. I'm just, if colleges wasn't as expensive as what they are now compared to what they used to be, I think that's a lot of the problem too. People's getting in so much debt that they can't pay it off. It's not necessarily the people who make the debt. These universities are putting it on these young adults. Mm-hmm. And also us parents, because I mean, we had to get 2 loans. My daughter got one and me and my husband also got one.
Okay.
So it's just, but I mean, we weren't.
So, but how do you respond now when you suggested, listen, we knew what responsibility we were taking on when we signed on the dotted line to take this loan out. How do you respond to, now in the comments, I cannot pronounce the name, Delo something stated that, but how do you feel when government bails out corporations? Because we do that all the time. We give huge tax cuts and benefits to corporations, but some person that's struggling with student loan debt, we tell them no?
Yeah. Yes, I mean, I agree. If a family is struggling to pay that debt, I'm not saying pay it off totally, but it was a service rendered. It has to be paid back. What is going to happen if we just those things continue? And that goes for corporations also.
But I have to keep asking you is, in regards to forgiving student loan debt, why is the automatic assumption that it's going to keep going on and on? I mean, why can't it just happen there and stop there? Why are you automatically assuming it's going to go elsewhere?
No, I wish it would. I mean, I would love for the government to say they was going to pay off my house and I could just keep it. That'd be lovely.
Yeah. So,
but it's just, it's not real. Okay. I mean, because someone's going to pay for it.
Yeah, I agree someone's going to pay for it, but if we deny everything based on the basis of somebody's going to pay for it, we really wouldn't get anything done in this country because nobody wants to pay for anything.
Why does it have to be total payoff? Why can't they stretch it and put a little bit towards everybody's loans?
What do you mean?
Because not everyone's loans are being paid off.
Okay.
People who's paid off, I mean, we have a lot of people in America that has paid off all their college debt, that worked through college and did everything that needed to be done. I mean, what about these people?
So what do you want, like reparations for the person that's already paid their payment off? Like if you paid your loan off back in and they start forgiving loans now, you telling me the person back in the 80s wants, well, where's my cut?
I mean, it's just such a hard situation. I mean, it's just, my thing is, my big thing is you paid on the dotted, you signed on that dotted line. You said you was going to pay back this debt. If you're running into a hard time, yeah, I can see helping someone out, but not just to do it, just to do it.
What do you mean by helping someone out?
If they're falling on hard times.
Okay. So,
I mean, cut the interest rates on these loans.
yeah, but once again, somebody's going to ask if you cut the interest rate, who's going to pay for it? Because now you're costing taxpayers money. That's the whole problem, is that we have a selfish society that anytime you talk about doing for the poor, the people who have a little bit start asking, well, who's going to pay for it? Because I don't want it coming out of my pocket.
Yeah, which is that's the truth. I mean, I pay enough in taxes, you know? I mean, we all do.
So what is this whole about America first, or, you know, taking care? If the belief is I don't want to be forced to take care of other people, then there is no claim for America first. Is that just smoke and mirrors?
Wait, can you repeat that?
The claim of America first. We want to take care of people in this country first. But then when we present a program where the overwhelming recipients of the program would be Americans, there is no desire to do it. So is the phrase America first, is it just hogwash?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. So you don't think there's any way behind it at all? It's just something they're throwing out there.
Because that's the easy thing. We can scream all these things from the rooftop, but, and it's true what you just said. Yeah, if we're American first, and yeah, we should be willing to help these students get out of the, yeah. I mean, I'm a common sense person, and most definite. I mean, we can't scream about veterans and this and that and hoop, holler, and complain because we're sending money to Ukraine and Israel. But yet, like you said, we're upset about the student loan debt.
Yeah.
They're Americans too. So, yeah.
All right.
Most definite.
I don't think we disagree on it. I appreciate your opinion. I do got to move it on, Jennifer. Good talk.
Thank you.
All
right.
You too. All right, moving on to the program. I think she was fairly straightforward. She's not a fan of forgiving student loan debt. But at the same time, she acknowledges all it is, let's take care of Americans first, is basically baseless. Is not actually rooted in any real desire to do so. So I think she was fair. Looking in the comments, give the loans back to banks. The government is horrible with money. You think the banks are more responsible? Here's my take, and I'll go over to the box briefly after. I don't think government can be trusted. But if you get rid of government and leave it up to the corporations, I don't think they can be trusted either. I'd rather have both of them battling against each other so that we can fall in the middle somewhere. I don't want to get rid of government and just hope the banks and corporations do what's right. I absolutely do not believe that's a good idea. And I have to throw in that I'm a minority, and a hell of a lot of banks wouldn't even deal with my ass. So I'm not a fan of getting rid of government with the expectation, well, if you leave the corporations alone, they'll just do right. There's no history of that. Looking in the comments, then it would make sense to help people that need it, but fix the colleges. I agree with that, but here's the problem. Because a lot of folks, particularly on the right, would suggest that, you know, as opposed to forgiving loans, colleges charge too much and we need to fix those and things like that. How can you do that if you are for small government, less regulation? This is the same argument with universal health care. As opposed to giving people free health care, why don't we prevent the hospitals from price gouging and overcharging people? But if you're for small government and less regulation, who the hell's going to do that? Who is going to actually make that happen? All of that requires government and regulation. So there's no way to make what you're saying happen. Just think about that. Going back to the box again, I think nobody is good. Not Joe and not Trump. Either we should need a new president that has a brain and emotion. I don't. And one president needs a brain, the other one needs emotion. Is that what you're saying there, AG? Wow. Gender, you're not paying off somebody else's debt, dummy. I don't quite get that one either, Mandy. Let's continue the program on, though. The one and only Snoop, nothing but a G thing, baby. Good afternoon, Snoop. Welcome to the program. If the box brings him up, what's Joe doing wrong? The border. Snoop, you gotta, okay, you there? Yeah.
Man, I done heard some wild things on your show.
Give me an example.
First, I can heard some Republicans say that one white guy on Soul Train was Donald Trump. You don't remember that guy said that?
No.
Yeah. He said the one white guy that be dancing, that used to dance on Soul Train, that's Donald Trump. He like black people.
I ain't never heard that.
Yeah, he did. I forget where it was from. But anyway, America, they use that as an excuse, my brother. We always want to talk. We don't want to give nothing to Americans, but then we want to complain when we give money to someone else. We that's just you know how you say your wife or your kids make excuses? That's all it is. It's an excuse to me. You know what I mean? We did this to Ukraine. We made them give up their nuclear thing, right? And we said we was going to defend them, right?
Yeah.
We promised that. Now we have to live up to it. Now everybody say, no, we don't want to give them the money. What about Americans? But then when they want to get debt relief, nah, we don't want to pay for it. Doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. And I keep it 100. It really ain't about Trump. It's about the whole Republican Party. Because they are not doing anything for us. They're not passing any laws for Americans. Tell me a lot of what they've put into place for Americans.
I got some wait a minute. I got some examples. Do you think controlling the border, if we get the border under control, is that not a law that would help Americans?
I agree, but they haven't done nothing to pass that.
They're not in it. They're not in power.
Even when they was. Remember when Trump was in power, Venezuela was coming over here.
Yeah, but when Trump was in power, he passed the Remain in Mexico policy. He wanted a complete Muslim ban that got struck down. He was trying.
But you know, Biden, Mexico was going to give $2.1 million to help the border.
Yeah, but the way Biden is...
Ain't that them praying for it? Isn't that sort of like them paying for it? Biden doing it.
Yeah, but Biden's border policy of going the first 2 or 3 years of his campaign denying that there was even a problem at all was what really has hurt him.
I don't really think he was. I don't really think he really wanted to touch it. I don't really think he was denying it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, because
touch it.
Let me say this: you look at channels like Fox News, they were down there with cameras showing how many people were flooding in, and both Biden and Kamala were dodging reporters, didn't even want to talk about it for 3 years. They were basically letting that happen.
And I keep it 100. It ain't even Mexicans when they show. was all from China. It wasn't no Mexicans. They come over here and go back.
Then that's even worse.
But they always say we want the educated. Who's the top educated in America?
Well, let me make sure I get clarity though. You do agree that Biden is failing at the border?
Yeah, and I live in California.
Oh.
But what I trip off of, a lot of these states that don't even live on border states are complaining more than we do in California.
Yeah. I agree with that. I'll say this. I've heard more folks on the right complain about Chicago crime that don't live anywhere near Chicago. That's how the media does. They trigger people to complain about stuff that has no relation to their life at all.
I get it, but if you ain't nowhere near the problem, what are you worrying about?
Well,
it's the people that should be in. You should be listening to the people that actually live near those problem states.
well, but they believe that if you let it happen in those states, eventually it's going to spread to theirs.
It only spread when old boy from Texas and old boy from Florida shipped them there.
Yeah. But oddly enough, the people in Chicago, the people in New York are blaming Biden.
Yeah, of course. They ain't gonna blame who actually doing it.
Yeah.
He's not doing it.
But
He's not doing it.
let's be
on the wrong people.
But let's be clear. If the border is your issue to vote on, don't you agree that Trump would be more effective at controlling the border than Biden?
I keep it 100. It really ain't my issue to vote on. That's not my main issue, and I stay at the border state.
But that's why I said if. I said if.
I'm still saying it. If I actually live at a border state, you know what I mean?
Okay.
I can't go on hypotheticals when I actually live at a border state.
All right.
You know, so that's not my main priority. And in California, you know, the only other people I really can think that can speak on it is Texas. You know what I mean?
Well,
obviously they must get it worse than us, but I think that we, you know what I mean?
I don't know. Arizona,
Our border is getting crossed all the time.
Right now, New Mexico's having a major issue because Texas has gotten so tough. They're coming in through the rugged areas of New Mexico.
But I would think Arizona would have been, Arizona and New Mexico, they're right next to each other. So
Yeah, but Arizona is also a tough anti-immigrant state, just like Texas. So now they're coming in through the easier states like yours in New Mexico.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That would be a priority for me if I felt that way. But I don't really think it's that big of a deal here. We should be flooded, right? We should be flooded, right?
You are flooded. All your streets are named Hispanic names. You are flooded.
Well, shit. Come on, this was Mexico. How you gonna say this used to be Mexico?
I agree with that, but I'm just simply saying.
So that's why.
Go ahead.
That's why they're all named out of Mexican streets. They're have Mexican names because this was Mexico. And so was Texas.
And you illustrate the problem. The people in Texas don't want their entire community to be named Hispanic things just like you guys have in California. People in Texas don't want that.
I can't understand how you want something that was already named when you took it.
Because that's how war goes. Once you win, you want to dominate and control the land you conquered.
I understand that. I can relate to that.
Okay.
But yeah, I just be hearing some wild stuff on your and some of these people really expose who they are when they be on here talking, and then just admit that you're wrong instead of trying to make excuses. You know, for the man. You know, I think that's what it is. A lot of time, no one wants to take the L.
Yeah.
You know, no one wants to, it's like being in a battered relationship, right? And everybody keep telling you to get out. But you I've been in this for so long, I don't want to make it feel like that I was a dummy and stayed in this. So I'm just going gonna roll it out, and I ain't gonna take this L. So I'm just gonna roll with who I roll with. Now, does Biden look kind of slow sometimes? Yeah, but so do Trump. He's making up words. You know, every time he paused, like somebody else said, that every time he paused when he reading the monitor, that's because he can't pronounce the word that's coming up, so he'll just ramble off.
So you believe that Trump is dealing with cognitive issues equal to Biden?
Yes, it's just not as bad as Biden. It's just not as bad, but he's dealing with it also. He's dealing with it too. So we dealing with two people that got issues, right? And we trying to sit here and say that this one's better than this one. Oh, because I don't want to catch that L and just say that I was wrong. I honestly believe, we need two different on both parties, but we can't deal with that right now. All we can deal with is these two.
Okay, well I do gotta move it on, but in the last question is, so can we depend on you to be on the Trump train? I gotta go. All right, Snoop. Appreciate you coming in.
I appreciate you bringing me up, my brother.
Anytime. Looking in the comments, I don't understand you, brother. Why? State your actual question to that. What are you're suggesting that you don't understand me? I gotta hope that I can't read the names with this damn shirt. Okay. Moving the program on. He needs the Bible and the shoes. Yikes. Uncle Ruckus in the flesh says, I can't pronounce that name either. I get it all the time. Uncle Ruckus, what is it? Uncle Tom, Sambo, you name it. Folks just look at the program and they make their decision without ever listening in. Real quick, self-hating, nothing like a black man selling out black communities, says R.G. Hollins. Who's having a sale? Let me know where you can purchase things. The Democrats were slave owners. It's only natural for you to join them. I think the notion that the parties didn't switch, unless you're just lacking in education. Fact is, the Republicans were the party that ended slavery, and during that time, they were referred to as progressives. The Democrats were in favor of slavery, and they also were referred to as conservatives. Just think of how the country is ran. Conservatives tend to be traditionalists. In modern times, conservatives tend to be traditionalists. Democrats tend to be progressives. Democrats want to push the envelope, maybe make changes to the Constitution, perhaps go in different ways than Christianity. Democrats are always pushing to change the envelope, or better yet, progressives are. Conservatives talk about the Constitution, the Founding Fathers, the traditional portion of America. So it's pretty, if you just really think about it, it's obvious that Republicans were progressives back then. Freeing slaves had nothing to do with tradition. That was clearly progressive and very unpopular in America at the time. So just a little bit of research, and you'll instantly know that Republicans that were for freeing slaves were considered as progressives. Just look it up. Look in the comments. Trump promised that Mexico was going to pay for the wall. How much money did he collect from them? And the answer is zero. Going back to the box, we'll keep it moving with Puff. Pass. Okay, let's get it out. So we're asking that question. We're gonna tackle another one, by the way, too. Arizona just passed one of the toughest Supreme Court, the toughest abortion laws today, a few hours ago. No relief unless the mother's life is in danger. So the rape and incest thing, who gives a damn? Only if the mother's life is in danger. What I want to ask, and I'll tackle it with you, Puff Pass, is it really about states' rights? Because I don't know any state that is anti-abortion where the people of the state voted that in. It's just conservative politicians doing it. What say you, Puff Pass?
Well, I say the only way, because at its base, we're having a dual moral argument, so nobody can win. Both of them are moral argument. One believes they're protecting life of child. One believes that they're protecting the right of woman. So it's a moral argument on its face. So to me, there's never an ending to that. And so why I support it going to the states is because then you do actually give the power to the people. Because if you want something done, and people don't even know this, if you want something done in your town within your people, you can push things to be on the ballot where you're heard. You can do that. Signatures.
But that's the point I want to ask you. The folks on the right, like yourself, is saying, I want to give it back to the states, power to the people. But the state legislators in those Republican states don't want the people to vote on it. Because when you do give the power to the people, even in Republican states, and let them actually vote, they all vote pro-choice.
And I don't disagree with you. And again, that's where the people of the state that don't want to agree with the representative, that don't want their voice for the state rights, that's where you literally petition. That's where you make the ballot, because eventually they have to listen to your voice to get elected. You know what I'm saying? They do. But we don't do it. We stand and say it here, but we don't put it in the proper place so that it's actually heard.
So what is the point? I mean, if you're on the right, and you're suggesting, I want to give it the power back to the states, everybody on the right knows that if you let the people speak up, they're going to vote pro-choice laws in. So if you truly return it back to the states in its actual true form, not returning it to Republican politicians of the state, but the people of the state, we all know they're going to vote for it. So at the end of the day, do Republicans really want to give it back to the people?
Well, I think that the Republican Party, today's Republican Party, I think we still have a hard side of the party that just doesn't realize this is a losing issue. It is, and you can get away from it and just give it back to the people. Literally, you can get away from this, and that's what I think the Republican Party do. I think the minute that they just give this to the people, regardless, and not like you said, I agree with you. You give it to the states, but then the Republicans don't allow it to the state to speak. Yeah. I don't disagree with you.
Yeah, all they did was said, let's go give it to the states that we know we're in control of so we can get our wish. But fact is, like you're even admitting, if it really goes to the people, if it's really a case of power to the people, the Republicans know they're not going to like the results.
And I could, in many states, yes, and in most cases, I would agree with you. But we're assuming how every individual, because from every state feels. But I would agree with you. I think I just think it's an argument that's an intentful argument. It's an argument that they don't intend to solve. Like they don't intend to solve in the border, because if you fix a problem, you no longer got a problem. The college thing I wanted to answer you on, though, because I really just
go ahead. Tuition forgiveness.
So my problem with the forgiveness isn't that we help it. It's how, okay? Because if we back up and you're old enough to remember this, we went through an era in our life and in time that it was taught the way you achieve the American dream is you go to school, you get an education, you go to college, and you go there, okay?
Right.
And when we started doing that, we give permissions for institutions just to go crazy with pricing, and they knew the government was always going to fund it and was always going to pay for it. So administration costs went through the roof. So then college went from what should be a $20,000 education to $100,000 education. And then if we just continue to pay these loans and pay these debts off, it only emboldens them to continue to do the same thing. I think that because that basis was set up there, it was set up to be a racket. It was set up to do that in the first place. Why would you sell a dream to the people to say the only one way you can achieve the American dream is to go to college and get an education? That was insane.
Because it's a capitalist country. Everybody's trying to make money. How do you make money if you're a corporation? You tell people what you're selling is awesome.
But when the government gets involved in that, there wasn't a problem with costing college till the government started paying for it.
Well, if the government did not loan money for half of America, wouldn't go to college at all. They wouldn't be able to afford it.
Agreed, but what are you telling someone that says, okay, I'm going to give you a grant. You don't qualify. You couldn't go to the bank. You couldn't go to the bar, and you're on hard times, and you're in a different class, but you do need an education. So we're going to give you, we're going to do this, and we're going to give a loan, and we're going to give you the best interest rates we can give you, and you're going to sign the dotted line. And then you're teaching someone. These are young people, and then somewhere along the line, we're going to pay that for you. And now extrapolate that out and saying you don't really have to be responsible for things you sign. Kind of what the other lady was saying. You sign the line. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't have to do whatever it takes to make it happen, instead of saying it's hard, somebody to take care of it for me, I ask how that goes through generation to generation. How does that keep us thriving? How does that keep us motivated? How does that maybe make people dig down?
Oh, I can tell you right off the bat in regards to your question of how does it keep us thriving. An educated society is good for America as a whole. If you
well, okay. Is it? Because look at, I mean, let's just be honest. Let's go take the debt of people in college and that come out of college. Are they actually getting what they was promised, or are they getting the jobs? Are they having the careers? Is their education benefiting it to the fee they're paying for it?
But the answer is no. But that goes back to my original statement I said before you came on, is that the same folks like yourself demanding that folks get a decent education and pay their own loans are also in favor of less government regulation. So what you're suggesting, you would never support it actually being done, because that would require the government to go in and pass laws controlling how colleges offer their programs, what they can offer, and all of that.
No, because I think it would do it on its own, because here's what would happen. If you took government out of it, competition would be back in the game like it was before. Colleges competed for that. They just couldn't make their costs whatever they wanted to, because they're reassured they're going to get paid back every single nickel of every single thing that comes in. There's no competition anymore. Now it's just who advertises the best. You know, it no longer is cost a role in how you get your education.
So you want to go, because there was a time, what you're suggesting, there was a time in America when that did happen. You think that was a better time? I mean, folks like me, I couldn't get a loan at all.
No, I think there's a happy median. I think there is a happy median, but I don't think it's got to be, because like, take the same money you was going to apply to, say, student loan. I would say there's better places in our country that are really affecting most Americans, and that's the cost of housing, the cost of rent. We could have, that's our biggest problem in our country. If we solve that, people will have more. We solve that.
How do you do any of this at the same time suggesting we have less government regulation? How are you going to solve any of these problems when you want to shrink the size of government?
Here's how you do it. It's absurd to think that we need no regulation. That's just absurd. We have to be regulated. We're a civilized society. If without regulation, we wouldn't be civilized. But it's the moderation of and reevaluating and auditing what current regulations we have and saying, okay, we need 4 more important regulations. Is there 4 more regulations that we can reevaluate that are over-regulated, that aren't beneficial, so that we can have an even balance?
I don't know what any of that means. I don't know what any of that means. You got to clarify that.
Well, it's kind of like when Trump's kind of said, well, if you want to introduce a new regulation, you're going to have to cut 3, because we don't never go back to regulation after we've implemented it much, and we don't never audit it and see what's the result of that regulation. Was it a net positive or was it negative? And so that's how you don't get.
Here's the problem. I do remember Trump making that promise that every time I created a 3-letter organization, I'm going to get rid of 2. And some people are blaming that mindset for what happened in Palestine, Ohio, where you got a train full of toxic goods with only 2 people running the train, because less regulation allowed them to operate this train with less engineers on board. I don't know if I agree with removing regulations. Every regulation we have in this country, it didn't come from nowhere. It came from somebody doing something, whether it's...
No, I'll push back on you on that, okay? Because most regulation that's passed this day is labeled in the interest of you and the protection of you. And actually, it's in the interest of lining pockets and making people. Let me give you an example. I've been in the construction industry, you know this, for 30 years, okay? I can tell you regulations that we have that we can quantifiably prove your regulation is beyond ridiculous and stupid, and it makes 0 sense whatsoever. And it has nothing to do about the safety or the structure or anything else. It has to do with the process that we had to go through and the fees that we had to pay to do that somebody collected on.
Let me tackle your statement about the notion that more regulation lines pockets. And by the way, I haven't solicited. Folks, tap the screen. 700 plus of you in here. Helps out the algorithm. Get me on up to around 30,000 likes. I'd appreciate that. On TikTok, for you YouTubers, feel free to smash that like button. It is an uncensored program, so we don't block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary left of Bernie Sanders to I'm having dinner with QAnon. We do believe in free speech here. Your statement, more regulation lines pockets. I have to ask the obvious question. What do you think less regulation do? You don't think people profit by removing laws, making it easier for them to dump waste or chop down the rainforest? You don't think that works in the same opposite manner as well?
No, I don't disagree with you. I agree with you. I'm just saying that we can manage that to keep it even balanced. And I think, and it's what I said earlier. Do we go back and do we question the regulation we put in place? Because at the end of the day, it's an idea. We think we need this in place to improve this. But did it produce that result?
Yeah.
And I think
I
you'll
don't.
find out.
I'm not hearing. I'm listening to your points. I'm not hearing the take care of Americans first in this anywhere. Your stance is essentially be responsible, take care of your own debts. I don't hear anything about what you're actually doing for Americans other than telling them be responsible.
Well, because I don't necessarily assign to the America first. What I assign to America first, if that's what it means to me, is infrastructure for building things here. I don't necessarily think it's America first when we send money to other countries, because I understand the logistics of that. We don't give money to other countries. We don't give money to Ukraine. We're making money on Ukraine.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, that's an investment that we get back 100 times fold.
Well, why wouldn't you invest money in young Americans, give them college, and you're going to create a more higher earning society? How is that not an investment? I want to invest in the youth of America.
Because I think it gets in the wheel when we use that give and we make things. There's something that comes along internally about. Tell me something in life that came easy that had value.
Life itself.
It's something, okay, so if you had to work your ass off for a whole year to buy yourself a vehicle, and someone give you a vehicle, which one are you going to treat the vehicle better? Which way?
That's
What
not
you
always.
put your sweat and blood in for, you're going to treat it better. You're going to keep it cleaner.
Yeah.
You are, naturally.
But let me tackle that. If you had to work hard for a vehicle, you're going to treat it better. But you also are ignoring the fact that if you make me work too damn hard for the vehicle, maybe I won't be able to afford one, and I won't have one at all.
I don't disagree with that. But there's a fine line. But that's both ends of the spectrum, and there's nowhere in the middle with your analogy. And there's a middle ground there.
Yeah, I just believe that if there was something that would benefit this country, assuring that the citizens are healthy in the form of health care and educated in the form of education, to me, that's the best investment you can make in America. Making people work hard for something, I don't think that's a good investment in America.
Well, work hard, and so when we use that term work hard, first thing we see is it hard, back breaking, hands, sweating, and that's not the definition of hard work. It's actually applying yourself to the maximum level you can apply yourself, having control of the situation the best you can. Literally, that's hard. That's why champions are champions. They fight their best in the championship rounds. That's why the term easy come, easy go is not no easy, just a grandiose term. There's a lot of substance to that. Easy come, easy go.
So based on what you're saying,
you win the lottery, you will blow that money faster than if you went out and earned that money.
here's where I disagree. I do got to move it on. We'll give you the last word, but based on what you're saying, that you'll appreciate something you work hard for as opposed to something that was just given to you. If what you're saying is true, it makes no sense at all for any parent to save up and pay for their child's education. Based on what you're saying, every parent should make their own kid work to pay for it, because if I give it to you for free, what's the difference? What's the difference?
You're close. You went to the opposite end of the spectrum, and I'll close with this, okay?
Sure.
So let me give you an example. In my own children, I have them from 7 to 32, and all of my grown children are all own their homes by the time they were 25 years old, and all successful and come from nothing, okay? But when we went to, like, they had to buy their first car, they had to match me dollar for dollar. When they wanted something that was outside.
We're talking education. We're talking education.
My children had to match me dollar for dollar on most things in their life.
Okay, so you make your children pay their cost of education back to you?
No, my kids actually, I didn't send my route, the education route. I didn't.
Okay, there you go. All right.
In the trade.
Okay.
So there wasn't that expense.
All right. So your kids don't have a college education?
Well, no, mine got one through the military that the military paid for.
Okay.
And my other ones are licensed electricians in a union, and my other ones, because her education is paid for her work, because she learned that you can get in fields and what she wanted to, and the work would pay for her education because she's putting in like an internship and they pay for it. So
just to make sure I get clarity then, so no parent should pay for their child's education because they wouldn't appreciate it.
No, I don't. You're taking it to the far end of the spectrum.
How? It's free.
It's again, I think that the child should have some skin in the game. So what I think skin in the game for a child is at that age going through is that they get up every morning, they put their clothes on, they go sit in the classroom for 7 hours. That's a job.
Then why not have the government do it? Because the same thing would have to happen.
Because the government does it from the time you're 3 till you're 18.
Okay. All right. I got to move it on.
I got one point for you. Real quick, because I think it's a topic you have the platform to touch on. We can get Congress to get before and ask the question, what's the justification for housing costs right now? Because since I can ever remember, when you, even for mortgages, your house cost, rent or mortgage, should be 25% of your income. And you're balanced. We're at 45 to 60% of incomes now, and that question needs to be asked and addressed.
Right.
Like, why does it cost so much to live under a dwelling?
All right, I'll respond to it on the other side, but certainly appreciate it. Puff pass. You drive a hard bargain.
Thank you for what you do, man.
Absolutely, thank you. Appreciate it. Why is the cost of education so high? Capitalism and less regulation. Exactly what I keep talking about. If you are a believer that the government should have their hands off, let the people decide, let the free market decide, this is what happens. Capitalists find a way to make money. They find a way to get rid of the small folks. Go into a neighborhood where people are struggling, people got tax debts, buy their houses from under them, and charge more for them. This is what happens in a capitalist society. That's why you're paying more for housing costs in this country. Is the haves have found a way to purchase all the damn property and sell it at a premium to the have-nots, so that you got to rent because you can't afford shit. You want capitalism? This is capitalism. The minute you try to make the system fair, people start yelling socialism. So this is what you get. Capitalism isn't about doing what's morally right or giving a damn for the downtrodden and the poor. It's about making money. That's what's happening. All right, looking in the comments, that's how monopoly laws and such came into existence. Exactly. But if the government gets involved, try to break up a monopoly, well, we don't want government oversight. Okay, well, leave it up to the capitalists. Everything will be reduced down to a Walmart or a Dollar General. Everything else is gone. That's how capitalism works. People capitalize on opportunities. And the more money you have, the more you can capitalize. It's as simple as that. In the hood, we call it big bang, take little bang. Going back to the box, tap the screen. Get your boy on up to 50,000. Program is in full swing, certainly on YouTube. Tap that screen for the like button. Feel free to smash the like button. Just real quick, always new guests coming in. This is an uncensored program, folks. You're going to hear opinions you agree with, others you think are not shit. That's how we run the program. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. Disagree with somebody in the comment section, disagree with the host, nobody gives a damn. It's all about that here. So if you enjoy civilized dialogue without any concern of the host trying to block, ban, or censor you, you are in the right place. For my TikTokers, I appreciate if you follow the program. Certainly a subscription on YouTube. Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. is when we're here. Looking in the comment section briefly, no capitalism works better with small businesses popping up all over the country, says Kevin O'Leary. True, but without regulation, there's no guarantee that's going to happen. Just think about Walmart, for instance. How many businesses disappeared from the Radio Shacks to the Circuit Cities? All of those little small businesses disappeared because this one business swallowed everything up. Walmart sells everything. Even restaurants probably have disappeared in some areas because of Walmart. That's what capitalism is about. The only way to stop it is with government regulation. So if you're anti-government regulation, you really can't bitch about the downfalls of capitalism, because you are essentially putting water on the capitalism flower. Gen X, where's Andy? It's lunchtime and my semis are needed. Appreciate it, Gen X. Thanks for that super chat. Going back to the box, low key hustle. I think I just hit that. We saved up to pay for our kids to go to college. Don't need a guy to pay for my kids. But according to my last guest, and many on the right, if you give something to someone for free, they're not going to appreciate it. Why does that mindset change depending on whether the free item came from the government or from their parents? That makes no sense to me. Maybe I'm getting that wrong. I don't understand that. I don't want the government giving free college education, but I'm giving it to my kids for free. I don't believe people will uh, appreciate anything you give them free. But if I give my kids a free education, somehow they will appreciate it. What am I missing? What am I missing on that? Looking in the comments, the box is acting up for a minute. Public education is free and not fully utilized. Well, we're talking beyond high school. We're talking beyond high school. College is not a vital necessity. No, it's not. No, college is currently not a vital necessity in America. But then when you start bitching about why are all of our doctors and engineers coming from India, coming from China, well, it's because they view it as a vital necessity. They view education more seriously than we do here. We view money and self-worth more than we view educating our society. I'd rather have more money for me and my family than to have a society full of educated children. So I got money, even though my neighbors are idiots. That's how we tend to think. They believe that education is vital. That's why they're passing us up in all those areas. We're too busy. Well, I don't want to pay for that. It's not coming out of my pocket. They're not acting that way. So they're producing a more educated populace. Thank you for the glasses, Dave George. Appreciate it. Something given has no value. Why do people think that? Why do people automatically assume that listen, if I'm walking off the basketball court and LeBron James hands me his jersey, it's free. You're telling me I'm gonna treat it differently than what I go out and pay $1,000 for? Why do people automatically assume that something given for free is not gonna be appreciated? I don't understand that whatsoever. There are plenty of folks who get things for free and treat it respectfully. Why automatically assume that? Why automatically assume the worst? Are we assuming that because it's true? Or are we assuming that because we don't want to give them shit? And it sounds like a good excuse. Going back to the box, my last guest didn't come up, so we'll try it again with the next one. I said low-key hustle. Let's try that again. Learning a trade is just as important. Not our, well, what about making the trades free? 2 to 4 years education in the trades. Some areas it is. Some areas it is. Low-key hustle. Good afternoon.
Hey, what's going on, handsome?
All right. I'm in the trenches, man. I'm in the trenches. Educating society. You there? Low-key hustle, are you there?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I saw you on hold. I'll give you the floor.
What was your question?
We're talking about why is it so unpopular to give young adults an advanced education, 2 to 4 years beyond high school. Why is that so unpopular? Okay, there's some kind of communication there problem there, low-key hustle. I don't know what's going on, but your signal was really weak. Education is mandatory, and an educated society is a civil society. I like that comment, Yorubi, but a lot of folks are like, if I got to pay for it, the hell with an educated society. Trades used to be in high school, and it was free in high school. That is true, I believe. Now, I went to high school in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I did have the option to take up woodworking, welding, and I did get a little bit of all of that. They taught me how to weld a little bit, taught me how, I don't know any of that shit by today's standards, but I did learn some of that. But I don't think it was ample enough from high school to go out into the real world and get a job. They kind of wet your feet in it. Just like anything else you learn in high school. You're not going to leave high school and become a history major or an English professor. It wets your feet in it. And they did do that when I went to public high school in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So I'm talking about, though, giving the education to the point where the person leaves and they're a certified welder, carpenter, electrician, taking them all the way through the apprentice program and preparing them for employment right out of the program. where it's paid for by the taxpayer. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about giving them, a class 45 minutes a day like I had in high school. You're going to need a lot more than what I had given to me in high school. I don't know what happened with my last guest. True Q. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. I do appreciate some of you folks that are tapping the screen. 60,000 likes would be appreciated. Same on YouTube. Smash that like button. They have college courses like that now. Yeah, but they're not everywhere. They're not everywhere. There are some states that are more favorable to helping out people, and then there's some states that are not. It's not everywhere. Remember this, we want to return the rights to the states. This is why a lot of folks are against it, because some states are going to be like, F you. It's on you to do it. Didn't go to high school. It's a joke. Really? Really? So if high school is a joke, what did you do for seriousness? Didn't go to high school. I don't know if I would promote that. In fact, I would not promote it. I paid for both my children's education. They are well adjusted and financially secure. Good job there, user 245. Why do people assume that if you do for children, they're just going to automatically treat it like crap? That they're not going to be responsible? I still don't understand that. The notion that if you give somebody a college degree for free, as opposed to them having to work and pay for it, they're automatically going to treat it like crap. Is that not assuming the worst without any evidence? To me, in my opinion, it sounds like that's just an excuse because I don't want to do it. I don't want to give you something. It's like telling a homeless guy, asking you for $1. Well, if I give you $1, you won't appreciate it. Yeah, you don't want to give me $1. That's why you said that. Okay, going to the box. I'm having a hellified trouble getting somebody to come up. Tony, let's try it again. Selfish. I see some. I agree with that. In the comments there, Arletha, I do believe there's some selfishness to it. Trying once again with the box. Once again, we're having trouble. This is Tony we're trying to bring up. A lot of good teachers are leaving in my area because kids are getting more violent and disruptive. That's a whole different problem, and I can certainly understand any educator not wanting to do their job in a violent environment. That is happening. That is absolutely happening. Not only that, but you got, like in the inner city schools, you got kids fighting and trying to beat the teacher's ass. But then in suburban and rural areas, you now got folk bringing guns to school and shooting up the whole damn school to the point where the schools are now marking off budgets for firearms. In Iowa, for instance, they allocated like a few $1 million to start purchasing pistols for teachers and folks in schools. I don't know if there is any environment where being a teacher is something that's desirable nowadays. It sucks, no matter what area you're in, because the violence, like students fighting each other and fighting teachers, that's happening in the inner city. Overwhelmingly, it's happening predominantly in inner city urban communities. School shootings, mass killings is just the opposite. That's generally not happening in major metropolitan areas. That's happening in suburbs, small areas. So I don't know if there's anywhere good to go at this point. It's just awful. And I see in the comments, 3-3 Junior says a teacher with a weapon. We covered some lives on this. I don't favor that. I don't favor arming teachers at all. I know a lot of my folks, my beloved MAGA folks on the right, have a different opinion. I don't favor it for a few reasons. First of all, we just talked about violent teachers in urban areas. Teachers get their asses kicked. Some students do win those fights. You want the teacher now to shoot the guy? The student was getting the best of the teacher, so the defender said she shot the guy in front of a bunch of classmates. Is that really what we want? I mean, just like we know mass casualty events happen due to mental illness, you think teachers don't have bouts with mental illness? Going in a classroom full of screaming kids, acting up, won't sit down, won't keep quiet. Now this teacher has a gun, maybe going through a divorce. You don't see where that may not cause a problem as well? I don't see it. I just don't favor arming teachers. Not to mention, teachers are not marksmen. Teachers are not going to school to get an educational degree. to get involved in a shootout. That's not what they're trying to do. And if they get out there and they cower in the middle of a mass casualty event, we're going to want their heads. Just like in Uvalde when the cops didn't respond, or in Parkland, Florida when the cops didn't respond. How would you feel if a mass casualty event happened at your child's school and an armed teacher became a coward? We would want the teacher held accountable. Do they really sign up for all of that shit? 30, 40, 50,000 a year? You think they signing up for all of that? So I'm not a fan of it. Looking in the box, I am having an incredible difficulty trying to bring up guests. We'll try it again. It's parents and society in this age. They allow these kids to fight and talk back. True. I agree with that. Nate, good afternoon.
How you doing?
Hey, good to have you on. So we're asking a few questions here. One being, in regards to the abortion ban, folks on the right are saying it's just about returning it back to the states. Do you believe that is a valid statement?
No. I mean, for one, there's a pretty large segment of the Republican Party that is for a national abortion ban. And also a lot of these states had trigger laws. Like we're seeing, I think it was in Arizona, they had a law from 1864 that the Supreme Court's going to allow to go into effect. So a lot of these states had old laws in place. That,
what is a trigger law, though?
Yeah, so basically what it be is like the Supreme Court, when Roe v. Wade was in place, wouldn't have allowed for some of these laws to go into place.
Okay.
So in states like Ohio, for an example, they passed laws that stated that if Roe v. Wade were to be overturned, that would trigger the law to go into place.
Okay. So they had backup laws in place already.
Yeah. Right. Like as soon as Roe v. Wade was overturned, abortion restrictions went into place in multiple states.
Yeah. But why do they suggest it's about giving power back to the states when they don't want the people in those states to vote on it? Because if the people vote, they're not going to vote pro-life.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you've seen it around the country. It's a topic that, I mean, Republicans have been getting killed on. So, yeah, they definitely don't want it on ballots.
Yeah. So we were talking about also student loan debt forgiveness, and the sole question was, why do you think the right is so against? Because about to say Bernie Sanders, President Biden wants to forgive student loan debt. All of his opposition is coming from the right. Why is that?
You know, it's a really good question because I know some of the objections to the Ukraine funding is people would say like, oh, why don't we do something for the people? And this is something that is for the people. So I mean, I don't know. I think there's some segments of the Republican Party that are kind of anti-universities, anti-education because they see them as being in conflict with conservative movements, I guess.
Politics? You think it's politics at play?
I think it's partially politics in play. I mean, you've seen that over the past several decades, college graduates have been moving towards the Democratic Party. So I think that's a factor for sure. You
know, now that's an interesting point you bring, because most colleges are liberal. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think in part maybe in some programs, like in certain fields, maybe it's just like the type of person that would be interested in them would be more liberal. But I think also you do see as people get more educated, I think a lot of Republican policy, especially with the MAGA movement, is sort of just about it's sort of just like an emotional reaction. I think it's just not as appealing to educated people. So I think the causation kind of goes both ways.
Wait. Let me make sure I get this clear. You believe the MAGA movement does not appeal to educated people. So MAGA is mostly uneducated people?
I mean, by and large, that is what the data shows, right?
Really? You don't think Trump supporters are educated? None of them, or most of them are not? Okay, I gotta stop this call.
Lower college education rates. Not that none of them are educated.
Right. I mean, I guess I kind of asked you a question, and I think I would answer differently. I think one of the reasons why colleges tend to be more liberal is just that the policies or the mindset of the GOP and the Republican Party does not fit the narrative of how young people think. They're pro-marijuana. They're certainly pro-LGBT. They're pro-choice. I mean, they're not very religious. What the tenets that the Republican Party stand for do not resonate well with young people that would be in college. I mean, when you watch right-wing media, OAN, Fox News, look at their commercials. None of that stuff is tailored to young people. They're selling gold, retirement packages. Yeah. I mean, they're not. They know their party is tailored to older people. So I think that's the reason why colleges tend to be more liberal. It's just what young folks want, the Republican Party tend to be against.
Yeah, I mean, and like you said, with the university being more liberal, I mean, that's being compounded by the fact that now a lot of conservatives seem to think that going to college is like a waste or, you know, like a sign of weakness even. So, yeah, I mean, it's just weird. They seem to be discouraging their own young people away from going to college.
Yeah. Last but not least, I want to ask you one other question. Now, I mentioned this in the beginning of the live, and I haven't discussed it much since. Letitia James, the one that had the big victory against President Trump, she's in the news again. And earlier this week, which would be yesterday? I think yesterday she won a $1 million settlement against a couple of conservative activists. Turns out in the New York City area and a few other places too, I'll explain, but they were found liable to be passing robocalls, trying to basically passing misinformation, trying to discourage blacks from voting. And what they were telling folks is voting by mail will allow the government to track you for warrants, use their information to see if you got any credit card debts, and it would allow debtors to collect on debts. All lies, and none of this is true, but they were actually doing this. They also got cases in Ohio, D.C., pending cases in Michigan. The FCC wants $5 million from them. The question I'm asking is, why do so many folks believe that the 2020 election was rampant with fraud, and it's all Democrats, even though Republicans are getting caught up in it?
Yeah, I mean, the only answer to that is because Trump told them so, right? If he hadn't told them that, they wouldn't believe it. I mean, I think that is pretty much the only answer.
So all it takes is for Trump to say something.
I think for about 2/3 of the Republican Party, that's pretty much where they're at.
Wow. Nothing else. No proof, no evidence. Trump says it, therefore it must be so. You really believe that?
Yeah, because I mean, at least when I talk to them, it's like any evidence that contradicts Trump, they'll just say it's fake or it's not real. Wow. So
you don't believe in it, do you? You don't believe in the cult comments, do you? That they're running a cult? Do you see that? That
Trump's running a cult.
That supporters of Trump are part of a cult. Some people be accusing them of it. Do you see any validity to that?
Oh, I mean, I think more so than for any American politician I've ever seen. Not that everyone that votes for him is like that, but the ones that just think he can do no wrong, everything is against him, everyone else is a liar, that like he alone can fix it. I would say that's kind of where the cultish behavior starts.
All right, I've heard it from a few folks on the show. I just wanted to get clarity from you yourself. Appreciate it, Nate. I do got to move it on, though. Thank you for coming through.
Appreciate you.
All right, anytime. All right, looking in the comment section, I do appreciate some of you folks that are tapping the screen. Let your thumbs not be lazy. We can do 65,000 likes if that is possible. 700 plus of you in here. Same on YouTube. Feel free to smash that like button. Subscription, if you will. Follow the program on TikTok. Uncensored commentary. That's how this runs. Not about me, not about you. It's about us. Looking in the comments real quick. Trump, aka Apple White. What does that mean? If you look at the definition of cult, it's very close. You guys don't really think MAGA, Trump, Republicans, particularly those that support Trump, you don't really think this is part of a cult, do you? I don't know. What about securing the border, actually being in favor of pro-life, Second Amendment? I mean, there are legitimate reasons to vote right. It's not all code, is it? And I see a lot of folks say yes. Wow. both parties have split into several factions, many working for foreign unelected groups at WE. I don't know. Let me just say this. I do believe there is some splitting of the parties on both sides. But I've said before on the program yesterday, I think the split of MAGA versus traditional Republicans is much greater than progressives versus traditional Democrats. I think MAGA is, because MAGA has actually won the party. Progressives have not scored anywhere near the type of victories with the Democratic Party. But you are correct. There is a bit of fracturing in both parties. Let me try it again with the box. Don't know what I just clicked, but let's see what happens. Having a lot of trouble today.
Yeah, I gotta go.
United.
I'm sorry, gotta go. Bye. Hello?
Hey, good afternoon.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm doing good. You make me feel special. I got priority over somebody. So
Well, my loan officer.
Oh, damn.
From
Speak
one
of
of the 1920s craftsman that just sings to my heart.
all right. Well, speaking of loans, why is the right so unwilling to forgive student loans?
I don't know. I'm fully for it. Did I pay my student loans? Absolutely, 100%. Do I want that for our future? No. I believe knowledge is a gift to be given freely.
So considering
we
you
can work it out for the trade schools, which we have in most jurisdictions. We can work it out for a college education as well.
So let me ask you now, you work to pay your own loans back in full, am I correct?
Correct.
So if Biden was to somehow win the right to forgive college loans for people who currently owe money, would you be one to suggest, well, where is my money? I paid mine off. I want some money too.
No, you know the only thing you'll be hearing from me?
What is? Applause.
Applause.
Okay. So why do people?
We're going in a better direction.
Yeah. So you do indeed believe paying off student.
I do.
Okay. So why do you think Republicans have such an opposing view?
You know, I don't know. I've just never understood that. Even Trump has said we're going to create a university that will have knowledge. Now, how great that's going to be, I don't know.
But his university wasn't free.
It should be.
Yeah. Apparently, it wasn't effective very much either, according to the settlement.
Let's just face facts. Not everybody is destined for Harvard or Cal State, Fullerton or wherever. We're just not. Not everybody is.
Now, I had a caller on a few callers back that stated if you give college education for free, because people didn't work hard for it, they're not going to appreciate it as much. Do you see any?
I heard him and I went, that sounds like you've never been to college, because that is a lot of work.
And he did admit that he didn't go to college. He did admit that toward the end. So yeah, I don't know. I couldn't understand it myself, United. I'm just thinking, like, why automatically assume that if you give somebody something? I mean, my mom gave me my first car and I cleaned it up, did everything I could to make it look nice. And it was free. It was free. I didn't beat it up because it was free. I don't know why people assume that if you give somebody something, they're automatically going to do the worst with it.
I don't know. I've worked for, nothing has been given to me my whole life. I've worked for everything. I know how hard that can be. And if we can give America's sons and daughters a leg up in this world, I say we do it. We're wasting money on so many other programs we don't need.
Yeah.
Why not invest in our own youth?
Yeah, and I'll say this.
Like you said, invest in an educated society.
Yeah, and I'll say this as well. When I went to school, my parents did not pay for any of my education. I still personally have student loan debts. But when I went to school and got my associate's degree, ended up getting a degree in electronics. I remember graduating and my dad telling me, "I wish you had got the 4-year degree." And I told him, I'm like, I'm broke. I can't do 4. I need to get out and get a job. You charging me for rent? Everything costs money. I'm broke trying to go to school. So I'm going to stop at 2 years so I can get a job. And I didn't go back for my bachelor's or master's degree until I was an adult 20 years later. So I think the idea, if you give somebody something for free, they're not going to appreciate it is lost on the fact that if you make them work too hard for it, they may never get it either.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's called putting up barriers.
Yeah. And it certainly stopped me from getting my bachelor's degree back in my early 20s, which is what I would have done if somebody had gave me, college tuition, and it would have probably led to me making quite a bit more money throughout my life. So,
Right.
yeah.
Well, I was supposed to be a lawyer, but the money ran out and the engine blew.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's the shits. It is what it is.
Yeah. So,
And if we can, I just believe in investing in America's sons and daughters and making the best we can make.
So it just seems so hard to convince this country of that, though. I don't know. You think we'll ever get that? College tuition for the citizens of this country?
Well, I think we can get there if people dislodge their heads from their own posteriors. I think we're too concerned and wrapped up into me, myself, and I, and not looking at the future, not looking strategically down the road, and being a participant in that instead of a barrier to that.
I don't disagree with that. So how do you feel about this claim? We also talked about, I see somebody in the comments said voter suppression is nonsense. Letitia James just scored another victory with two conservative activists proving that they were suppressing votes, particularly from black folks, by using robocalls to promote misinformation to disincentivize voting. What I want to ask is, with so many folks saying the 2020 election was stolen, why is there a belief that only Democrats cheated when so many Republicans are getting caught up in the courts?
It's all nonsense. They're all corrupt. I'm sorry, it's not left or right in that. They're all bought and paid for. They're not there representing us. They're representing corporate special interests.
So you believe both sides were cheating their butts off in the 2020 election?
Both sides are cheating their butts off, and that nonsense needs to stop.
So then I have to ask the obvious question, is Biden a legitimate president?
He's our president. I will call him Mr. President.
That ain't what I'm asking. Did he win fair and square?
If he didn't win fair and square, we can't really say anybody has won fair and square in quite some time. I mean, this would go back much farther than him. And I'm not going to sit there and be one of these American citizens that disavow my president. He's my president.
So let me present it to you.
I don't like what he's doing. I don't like his economy. I don't like a lot about him, but he is my president.
Okay. Well, then let me present a quote from the last president, suggesting that he won by a landslide. Do you think Trump is correct in saying he won by a landslide?
He can be a bit pompous, so I would give that the bombastic side eye.
Meaning,
Meaning, I highly doubt he won by a landslide.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, do you believe
People
he
like to boast and make themselves puff up and look bigger than they really are.
Okay. Do you believe he won?
As much as I believe that Biden did. I really have no opinion on this.
Okay. So
Whether somebody's legitimate or not. If there is here's where I want to focus. I want to focus going, if there is a problem with our voting system, we should be focused on that instead of arguing and bickering back and forth about who won what legitimately.
Yeah, but
We need to make sure going forward things, that same illegitimacy cannot be put
Yeah,
to
but
the forefront again.
but here's the problem. Okay, you said in regards to a problem with the voting system, the powers that be, the folks who are over the voting system, suggest that it worked just fine. The folks that are criticizing the voting system is predominantly Trump and Trump supporters. Where is the evidence that the voting system is so screwed up? Have we shown evidence that the way we vote is really messed up?
Well, I'm in Washington State, so I'm in the Pacific Northwest. We vote by ballot. I don't have the option to go in and vote in person.
Okay.
I think that's messed up.
Why?
Because I should have the right to be able to go into a voting center and cast my vote in person.
Okay.
There should be balance.
There is no ballot offices in the state of Washington?
No, you cannot go in person. You have to do everything in the mail or drop it off at a drop box. And we've all seen the videos of ballot stuffing, and a few cases come through where that has been found to be true. So that really makes me nervous being in a state where I can only do it that way.
Okay. I'd have to look that up because a lot of folks in the comments, now you're in Washington, so I'm not going to.
I'm in Washington State.
I'm not going to disagree with you, but a lot of folks in the comments seem to think what you're saying is not true.
That's okay. They can Google it just like I did because I want to go cast my vote in person, and they're like, nope, we're a ballot system.
But here's what I don't understand is why do we have an automatic assumption that voting in person is any safer than voting by mail? I mean, the people that work in
I guess it's just a matter of preference and what makes you feel like your vote is safer.
Okay.
I'm not saying one is better than the other.
All right, exactly, and that's my point. But a lot of folks do feel like voting by mail is insecure, and voting in person is the best way to do it. I don't see any evidence that either one of them is more secure than the other.
I think it's just a matter of comfort levels and personal preference.
All right, fair enough. All right, well,
Okay.
a little bit reason
We can't
going
all
in.
think and speak alike. How boring would the world be?
I don't know, but it might be a lot less war, right?
I'm so sick of war.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm Gen X. No more new wars. I can't do it anymore. I'm exhausted.
Too much money to be made in war. We are a capitalist country, so there will be war until the day you die. We will be involved in wars. I got to move it on, though. United, thank you for coming through as always.
Thank you. You have a lovely day, sir.
Absolutely, you too. Looking in the comments, and we are a nation of capitalists. We believe in profit, and there's a lot of money to be made from war. So there's always going to be room for war because people are always going to want it. Looking in the comments, if you want only in-person voting, you should have at least a week of voting. Before I go back to the box, thank you for you folks that are tapping the screen. Might get me to 70,000 if you will. Same on YouTube. For you few that are smashing that like button, thank you as well. In regards to in-person voting and the suggestion you should have a week of voting, I don't know about a week to vote, but I do believe they should make Election Day a holiday. They should absolutely make Election Day a holiday, particularly if you're going to force people to go in to vote. It should be a day where you can be assured that it's not conflicting with anything else in your life, such as your form of employment. You should be given up. I would also suggest that they should hand out something plastic with your picture on it, with your signature on it, because I'm a fan of voter ID. I don't believe there's no excuse for a full-grown adult to not have an ID. I don't buy into that. I know a lot of the liberals, far left, believe, voting without ID. I don't support that at all. However, the way I believe it should go down, the right is not going to agree with me either. I believe you should require an ID and you should give it out. How much does it cost to hand somebody a piece of plastic with a picture of them and a signature on it? You're making them in bulk. I mean, you could hand this out to the public for probably less than a nickel a pop. Require an ID and give it to them. And put it in the system. Simple as that. So you would get your ID request, but my guess is the right would not be fans of that. Who's going to pay for it would come out. Who's going to pay for all of these IDs to be made? Because my humble opinion is, and I know a lot of folks have a difference of opinions, but I don't think the right wants to make voting easier. But at the end, yeah, give them an ID and require they use it. Same thing with requiring folks coming in to vote in person, okay? Make it a holiday and require a certain amount of polling places per number of citizens in that area. The reason I say that is because we got a lot of liberal cities in Republican states that have people in line for hours to vote, as if that shit is not intentional. Cleveland, Atlanta, Houston, Democratic cities that are in Republican states limit the polling offices so that people are in line for 6 to 8, 9 hours because it increases the likelihood some of them will get out of line. I mean, the town is all Democrat, so everybody who gets out of line benefits you. That you're gonna tell me that's not done intentional? Whereas you go to a liberal city in a liberal state, nobody's in line like that. That's intentional. That is done with intention to disincentivize folks from voting. Make it a holiday, a certain amount of polling places per population. Because it's only happening in big cities. The smaller towns, which tend to lean red, there's not enough people in that town to have folks waiting 8 hours to vote. It's happening in towns, 500,000 people or more. These are liberal areas. But it's only happening in Republican states. The coincidence is obvious. If your county has, a huge population, let's say one polling place per 30,000 residents. So if you got, 300,000 people in their town, there should be 10 different places people can go vote. That would eliminate the lines. That would eliminate that. But people don't want that. I want the line. I want the long gas line. I don't want nobody handing them water. I don't want nobody helping them out at all. You tell me that's not done with intention in mind. Look it in the comments. Sporita says wrong. You got like 2 lines of information. This is an uncensored program. I'm going to read every damn thing you type, even if it's critical of me. Why not put more in there than just wrong? State your case. I'm willing to entertain it. Wrong means nothing. Going back to the box. Wrong. We'll go to Lady. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Accepting hunting licenses versus, that's another really good one. Courtney says accepting hunting licenses versus not accepting student ID is the problem. Most hunters, gun owners, lean right. Students, college attendees, lean left. Let's accept the hunting licenses and deny the student ID. That's not intentional. This is what we're talking about, folks. Requiring ID, give out the damn ID. Give out the ID. Anyone who has a license or state ID, you can use that. If you don't, dial an 800 number, whatever the case may be, or go down to your city hall or whatever, and they'll take a picture of you and give you a piece of plastic for free. That's simple. That's simple. As opposed to accepting a gun permit ID and not taking a student ID or a library card, knowing what you're doing behind that. It's pretty obvious what's going on there. But yeah, just give out the ID and I think that would solve that. Real quick, once again, the box is problematic. I am baffled at the amount of grown folks not having any ID. Wendy, I've been that way growing up on the south side of Chicago most of my adult life. I've had an ID, 14, 15, I think, whatever the youngest age you can get a state ID, because I had a paper route, and then I had, worked for Burger King or whatever when I was 16. I always had an ID. I lost a bunch of them, but I've always had an ID. Yeah, running into 25, 30-year-old men that don't have an ID, I never understood that either. But they do. You walking around with a pistol, an Extendo magazine, and you ain't got an ID, you can carry that damn big ass pistol, but you can't carry a plastic ID. I never could understand it, but there is a lot of people like that out there. I've had an ID since I was a teenager. Yeah, same as well. Well, that might be why. Yeah, it could be why they don't have an ID. But listen, it's 2024. Not carrying an ID is not going to prevent the police from knowing who your ass is. They're going to hold you, figure out who you are, and let you, or arrest you or let you go, whatever the law requires. But not having an ID ain't going to escape shit in terms of justice. It's just that time period is over with. I'm an undocumented worker and just voted 20 times for Trump. Be the GOAT, you're lying, first of all, because you've talked before. You're an undocumented worker and you voted for Trump 20 times. Why? First of all, let me just say this. Not only is that being sarcastic, but why in the hell would anybody undocumented in this country vote for Trump? That makes no sense. He wants you gone. He wants you to stop being allowed to work, and he wants to kick you back out of the country under penalty of going to prison. Why would an undocumented immigrant ever vote for Trump? JP Farms, yeah! Thank you for the hat and mustache. So we know that ain't true. Let's try it once again. Andrew Welch. Hopefully the guest can come up. And if he becomes president, he's going to kick a lot of them out. I agree with that, T-Mac. Trump has promised the largest deportation in U.S. history. I believe he will be successful at that. It might be messy, but I believe that. Andrew, good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm doing really good. We're talking about the resistance in regards to forgiving student loan debt from the right. What say you?
I say I am on the right, and for reasons not of the reasons that some are, but I agree with you. An educated society benefits us all.
So you would be in favor of an advanced education on the government's dime or something like that?
Absolutely.
Why do you think?
I think our choices at the polls, at the ballot box, are poor. I agree with what you say about an ID as well. You know, give them out. We pay enough tax dollars to educate and medicate everybody on the planet. If you think about the tax dollars we pay.
How the hell did you become a conservative with these opinions? We need to have you on this. How did you become a conservative?
Well, I've always been a conservative. But to answer your question, the Second Amendment is one of the main reasons why that keeps me voting that way.
So,
you know, a lot of us are not really worried. I mean, I don't know if you can tell by the accent, but I'm from the South.
yeah, well, we can tell.
A lot of us are not worried about people coming across the border because we can take care of ourselves.
Damn. So just give this man a gun and take him to the polls, which we all good. Is that right? As long as you can have yourself, as long as you can defend yourself, you probably would be liberal.
Most of my views, okay, here's my view on abortion. I don't have a uterus. I don't get a say-so in it. That's just how I feel about it.
So you really are, when it comes to the Second Amendment, you really are what they refer to as a single issue voter. That is incredibly important to you. Am I correct?
It is.
Yeah. Wow. Let me just say this. Most liberal politicians are not trying to take away your gun. What state are you in?
Georgia.
Okay, well, your governor is Kemp, so he's already Republican. Do you believe, because you do have two Democratic senators there, you believe they're anti-gun?
I think that, yeah, some of them are. And there's, you know, that's the belief that a lot of us have that are on the right, that they are very anti-gun. And that's, you know, like going back to what I was saying, if it's, you know, if you're going to go by the Constitution, go by the Constitution. If you're elected, go by it. What does it say? I mean, yeah. That's how pro-2A I am.
Well,
it would blow your mind if you knew how pro-Second Amendment I am.
So you believe anything? You believe you believe a citizen should be able to have any kind of firearm?
Yep.
Okay. Rocket launch? You machine gun, fully auto?
That's too expensive, but if you can do that if you get a class 3, but they're extremely expensive. I mean,
do you believe it should be legal to have a fully auto weapon without a class 3 qualification?
Why shouldn't it be?
Just ask it. Just ask it. You don't have to shoot. Don't shoot the messenger. Just ask it. All right. So fully auto. Let me take it to the next level. What about you know, projectiles such as, you know, rocket launchers, grenades, claymores? You're okay with all that?
I think that's leaving when you get into objects like that, that's leaving. That's going above and beyond a firearm. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but you're talking about protecting your.
I don't think you should be able to own a F-16. No.
Okay.
No.
So it stops it. It stops it. The reason why I'm asking is because a lot of folks suggest that, you know, the right to bear arms is to prevent, you know, a tyrannical government. So you should be able to have what the government has. You don't believe that?
I don't think that it's feasible. I don't think that, No, you shouldn't let rednecks fly around in F-16s. No, sir. No, sir.
All right, okay. I don't think listen. I think that if the liberals heard you, if most folks that are conservative were like you, I think the liberals would rethink their stance on guns, because you sound like you're on board with all the other issues.
I am,
Wow.
and it's kind of an evolution. And for me, I'm 45 years old, and my whole family's always voted, the way they do. But you have to kind of think for yourself, and you have to. And I mean, when I was in high school, I was on the debate team, and I had to debate the topic of abortion. In that, and they gave me a stance they knew that I didn't defend. Just to see if I could do that. And then it made me think, I don't have a uterus. I'm never going to have to make a decision like that. There are people that think that women do this for cruelty. How could, for a woman to have to make that decision, you or I will never have to do that.
Right.
But I don't think that, I don't believe there's women out there that just do that, for the hell of it. I don't think that they do.
Well, President Trump stated last week that the Democrats, now you are conservative, but he stated that the Democrats are actually in favor of 9th month and beyond abortions, having an abortion after the 9th month. Do you buy any of that?
So if you're saying, like, if during childbirth, if somebody were to come to me, I've got a child, and if somebody were to came to me and said, hey, it's going to be you or it's going to be your wife, you need to decide right now. I don't want a law having to determine that. It's between me, the doctor, and my wife.
Yeah.
That's just, I don't think the government has any business in that. But just like the guns, I don't think they have any business in that either.
But considering you stated you're a conservative, right now you are leaning towards Trump, correct?
Yep.
Okay, because he's obviously going against everything you just mentioned, with the exception of the Second Amendment. But I don't know, is there a lot of liberals running on removing gun laws? Because they're certainly running on removing abortion rights.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't see Trump as a bad a person as a lot of people do. I just, I don't think he's the greatest. Look at the choices we have. Where's the other party? Why don't we ever hear about the other party? Because I would put myself in the middle. Where's that party? There's a lot of people, I guarantee you, that think like I do. Yeah. Where's that party?
Well, let me ask you this, because you stated you don't think Trump is as bad as people think he is. In your opinion, what happened on January 6th?
Well, I don't know because I wasn't there, but I know that
Andrew, there's got to be a 24 hours of continuous footage out there. You ain't seen none of the footage?
I was at work, but I saw it when I got home, yeah.
Okay. So based on what you've seen, what do you think happened?
Like I say, I don't really know as far as what led to it, but I don't see how they were able to do what they did. I mean, why were they able to do that? Why were they able to breach our Capitol?
Numbers. Numbers.
Yeah.
You want them to mow them down? You want
guard there? Why wasn't? I mean, it's. I don't know. I'm not saying I love everything about the guy. I'm just saying that, our choices are not good.
Well, let me present what I presented to my last caller. Who won the 2020 election in your opinion?
I was listening to that, and I don't know. I don't know.
You don't have any clue who won? You don't have any clue what happened on January 6th?
Well, I mean, do we really know if it's a computerized vote? Computers can be hacked. I mean, there needs to be a fix to it.
So, who won the 2016 election between Trump and Hillary?
Well, according to some folks, it was Russian collusion back then.
In your opinion, who won?
I don't know. Same with Bush and.
So you don't know if anybody's ever won.
I don't know.
All right. Okay. Fair enough.
It's just the way it is. It's. I I understand that it doesn't take us long to count votes, and there's a lot of people that say, why does it take that many days to count votes? And I kind of understand that because there's more people now than there were,
Yeah, more people. The thing about it is Trump, if there's one thing I always give Trump credit for more than any other president in history, is he's brought more people into the political arena. So you're right, there is more people voting because they talk about, well, Biden got more votes than Obama. Well, so did Trump. Trump did very well in 2020 as well. He just lost because the other guy got more. But Trump is bringing people to the polls in record numbers. Now, this abortion being overturned, that's going to do it again. Between abortion and the border and the love or hatred for Trump, we're going to probably have a huge turnout in November.
I agree.
Yeah. But you won't know who won.
No, I won't know.
All right, Andrew, I got to move it on.
I appreciate it.
Hey, good talk. Appreciate you coming on. All right, looking in the comments. Wow, I got to give Trump credit because I still believe, and I know a lot of you folks differ from this. By the way, before I go into this, tap the screen. 80,000 can certainly happen. We got 800 plus of you in here. Smash that like button on YouTube. 1 p.m. Central, by the way, is when we're here Monday through Friday. Uncensored dialogue, civilized between both sides of the aisle. Better yet, all sides of the aisle. You don't have to be liberal, conservative, Republican, or Democrat. Get plenty of libertarians, folks in the middle as well. I give Trump credit for one thing, in addition to being able to bring people to the polls. When folks say, if I say it, therefore it is, he has a tremendous amount of power for that. A lot of the election suspicion, based on my own personal analysis, it's solely based on him saying something. It's solely based on, he said that this is happening and people just ran with it. I mean, there's a lot of unproven statements that there's people who still believe Dominion was doing that. Even though Rudolph Giuliani and some pretty powerful folks like Fox News with unlimited legal protections had their chance to prove their case and lost. People really still believe that. I say it, therefore it is. I give him credit for that. He has a lot of power for that. Looking in the comments, that's a Cult of Personalities. A good song, by the way, by Living Color from the 1980s, if you guys are old enough. Cult of Personality. Always terribly dangerous for any state. Jeremy says that's a Cult of Personality, always terribly dangerous for any state. Yeah, if there anyone running a cult, MAGA or anybody else, David Koresh, you name it, Jim Jones, that is dangerous, because if the person that is the head of said cult uses their powers for evil, the people are literally willing to devote their lives. And to some degree, we don't use the term cult with groups like Al-Qaeda or ISIS-K, but that's really what it is. If you're willing to die for a cause, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. You're willing to literally give up everything you have, your name, your credibility, your financial acquisitions, everything you've earned in life, up to and including your freedom and or your life for the cause. That's ISIS, that's Al-Qaeda. They pretty much, we just don't call it a cult. And I will say, and I'm not calling Trump or MAGA a cult, but there are certainly folks who have given up all they are for the cause that the 2020 election was stolen. I mean, we could obviously start with Ashley Babbitt, go on down to the likes of Rudolph Giuliani, Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy. A lot of folks have really given a lot for this. If it's true, it's true. Continue to fight. But my humble opinion is there should be more proof by now. It's been 3 years. There should be more proof by now. Looking in the comments, what is your YouTube name? Rena Baby. It's the same as here on TikTok. And by the way, folks, the program is simultaneously running on both platforms as we speak. So if you go to the Handsome Liberal on YouTube, we are running there as well. And the purpose of that mainly is because TikTok can be so damn strict on the censorship. I'll go back to the box. Thank you, Pinche Vato Loco. Wow, good to see you here, Pinche. Thank you. TikTok can be kind of heavy on the censorship, and I want the lives to be saved. I like to view them later and listen to some of the things. So on YouTube, click on live, and every live stream we've ever done is on there. TikTok, somebody says something controversial, they make it possible to bring it back up. Going to the box. I'm looking for you. It's not in there, but I do appreciate the hat and mustache. Gilbert, I don't know how to pronounce the last name, but Gilbert, good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, good to see you on. So you've been listening in. We were talking about student loan forgiveness. You think that's a bad idea?
No, I don't think it's a bad idea. I think it's a bad idea if you give billionaires their loans.
Wait, say that again?
I think it's a bad idea if you give billionaires their loans.
Oh,
How many times do you give? How many times you give a billionaire loan? The government gives a billionaire loan to get the loan.
so you believe that the government should look out for the folks at the bottom, not the folks at the top?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why we got it backwards?
Because they believe if you give things, folks believe that if you look out for the wealthy, they will in turn allow some of that to trickle down to the folks at the bottom.
Yes, and how long have we been doing that? How long have we been giving to the wealthy, and it hasn't trickled down yet?
Since at least the Reagan administration.
Right, and how long, and it hasn't trickled down yet?
Many would say no.
Everybody that's open, that has his eyes open, knows that it has been trickled down.
Then why do you think so many folks continue voting for it? So many folks believe that it does work.
I don't know if it's because people are ignorant.
I can't speak on the knowledge of the folks, but people believe if you give a business a tax cut, they'll create jobs which will help folks like you and me.
That's what the government says when they pass these tax cuts. Oh, it's going to create jobs. It's going to create jobs. And does it ever create jobs? No.
So let me present it to you this way. This is coming from Pep in the comments. Pep says people think trickle down is handing out money. No, it provides jobs and economic improvement. So trickle down is not about giving rich people money. It's about creating jobs and economic improvement. What say you?
I agree.
Well, then you agree with trickle down economics.
Well, that's what it's supposed to be, but it has not been that way.
Well,
Creating jobs. That's what the trickle down economics was intended to do, but has not done that.
So would you agree that college should be free in America?
I do. I mean, I'm not gonna say it should be free, but if the government gives a loan, they want to forgive the loan, their loans, so be it.
Yeah, but what about folks who are going to suggest, listen, I went to college, I paid my loan off, I had to pay mine off, you're going to forgive his, do I get my money back? How do you respond to them folks?
I mean, like I said, if you got a government loan, okay, yeah, you should get your money back if it's a government loan. If it's a loan from a private equity, from like a private company, like a bank, then that's outside their government's control.
So if I paid my student loan back in the 90s, and they start forgiving loans in 2024, you think I should also get my money back that I paid back in the 90s?
Was it a government loan?
Yeah.
Okay, then yeah, I think you should get it back. If it is it's fair is fair, okay? If we get these,
I can't agree with that. I cannot agree with that. Yeah, I mean, we would really go broke.
let me step aside.
Okay, apparently my caller had somebody else. I don't know if he was busy. Here's the issue I have with what he was saying, though, in regards to if you forgive loans today, people who have paid their loans off in the past should also get their money given back to them as well. Here's why I disagree with that. That would be like looking at somebody, let's say, for instance, you and I are homeless. I go out and get a job. Get lucky, find a job. I'm able to get myself back on my feet. And I'm able to go out and buy an apartment. And now I'm living all right. You're still homeless trying to figure your way out. All of a sudden, the city passes some type of law where they're helping out homeless people. I show up out of my apartment saying I want a little bit of money as well because I worked to get off the street. But now that you're helping out homeless people, well, I was homeless at one point too. I want some of that money. To me, it sounds selfish as hell. This isn't about giving out free money. It's about helping people. If you don't need the help, get out of the equation. You paid your loans off 10, 15 years ago. But because they're helping struggling people now and did not help you when you were struggling, you want the money even though you're not struggling anymore. That almost sounds like you're jealous, in my opinion. That kind of like reparations if you really listen to it. Almost sounds like loan reparations. It sounds like jealousy to me. Looking in the comments, they struggling because they made a choice to go to college. Possibly. You can go to college with good intentions and either have the college lie to you about your actual prospects and earnings, or during the time you're going to school, technology changes so that your degree is not that valuable when you get out. One or the other can happen. People have put a lot of education. Like I tell you, I go back far enough back. You know, I was born in the 70s. I go back far enough back. Back in the 90s, when I first started working, your ability to type was a bullet point on your resume. Can type 65, 70 words. That don't mean shit nowadays because kids are texting. Everybody can type. So we took typing classes in high school. People took after school programs after they got out of high school, got certificates in typing. You can get education. You can be educated in areas that are meaningless. Sometimes it can happen while you're in the program. It actually can happen. So it's not that people are struggling because they went to college. You don't always know that you're taking on the wrong program. Now, transgender studies, you're probably not going to make a lot of money. Journalism, there are some degrees that, they're kind of a useless degree. Liberal arts is another one where you're really just going to school to show you went to school. Liberal arts has essentially no value in my opinion, other than to show I went to school for 2 to 4 years and I actually successfully completed it. But a liberal arts degree is not of much value. So I would be a fan of requiring the educational institutions to produce accurate numbers on how many of their degrees were successful, what people actually earned and things like that. But as I said in the beginning of the program, if you're on the right and you're against government oversight and regulation, you're going to be against that as well. You're not going to, even though you want to not give out free college tuition, you want the colleges to be more responsible, but you're against government oversight, which would be the entity to enforce it. So I don't know how that works. Going to the comment, or better yet, the box, continuing on, the one and only, Pinche, Vato, Loco. Good afternoon, Pinche. Always a good talk. I don't know where we're going today, but I'm going to ride it with you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, my brother. No, we're on the subject that I actually had a lot of people supporting me on the last time I was on your show with that subject.
Which is?
The money thing.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, you saying it sounds like jealousy and whatnot, but to me, the whole thing sounds like addiction to money.
You believe Americans are addicted to money?
I believe all people are addicted to money. As long as we let money reign our lives, we will never win.
I partially agree with you. I believe in America we're addicted to money. I don't believe that applies to all countries. As someone who lived overseas, I definitely seen the difference in terms of, our addiction to money and personal items and acquisitions. I lived in a first world country. I mean, I was in Australia and in New Zealand. And they were more focused on family life and happiness and things like that, far more than we are. And they're probably closer to us than most other countries on earth. So I don't think all all humans are like that. I think that's a few countries. I don't think they're all like that.
Well, you got to look at it like this. how many of us? What's the basic criteria you have to be able to be considered an addict or something? You can't live without it, right?
Okay.
Well, how many of us can live without money?
I think we can. Well, what do you mean by live? You're not. If you go broke in America, you're not going to die.
Well, yeah. Well, you never know. I mean, you could unalive, no problem. I mean, it could happen if you're out in the streets and it's freezing cold. But
I think we're greedy. Listen. I understand where you're going. I think we are a greedy nation.
Picture a chessboard, okay? Picture a chessboard, and underneath the chessboard, it's sitting on all the hands of all the people of the world, and it's holding up all that weight, right? And they're playing chess on top of that board. What's the only way that we could beat them at their own game?
Turn over the board.
You got to pull the money out from under the board, and they have nothing to play for no more.
I don't know. Getting rid of money is not going to stop.
It's the only thing in history that's never been done, which is why you can't comprehend how it's possible. But if you think about it, what would come from that is generational families of generational knowledge in certain things that have grown and grown and grown and become perfected so well that it hasn't been inhibited by the ability to enhance it because of money. And
I'm baffled here. So what are you saying? We should not be focused on accumulating wealth?
I'm saying that in order for us to be what we are naturally supposed to be, which is equal, we have to stop focusing on the ruler of all evil, which is money. And it's driving us into the hole, which is why it's natural versus unnatural, Tim. Naturally, we're created equal, okay? It's unnatural for us to be unequal, excuse me. So if you think about it, what's the one thing in this world that makes one man believe he has more value than another man? It's money. And if you don't believe that, then go from being rich to being poor and see if you feel that way still.
Now, I'm going to throw politics in this because you support Trump, correct?
I've told you before, I'm an anarchist, so I don't really support any of them. But I think if Trump's able to be successful after writing the Second Declaration of Independence, then I'm all for it because it's for the people. But if it's not, then I don't. I mean, they're all puppets on the stage. You know what I mean? They're all.
Well, the reason why I asked you that, because you're talking about being addicted to money and things. I mean, Trump is obviously boasting about how wealthy he is. But you mentioned the Second Declaration of Independence. We always talk about this. You believe that when Trump was in office, before he left, he wrote a Second Declaration of Independence. Something I've never asked you that I've always wanted to ask you is, and I see the comments, people like, what the fuck? Yeah, he does say that. He don't believe Hillary Clinton is alive, and neither is Biden. We'll talk about that.
Go on YouTube and search David Straight reads the Second Declaration of Independence. You'll find it there.
Okay, well, what I want to ask you is this, and I don't want to be directed to a website. I want to get it from you. What is in the Second Declaration? What did he change? What did he change based on what you know from the first one?
He claimed the independence of the Republic of the United States from the Corporation of the United States, which has been corrupting us since 1871.
So we currently have a corporation and an independent country running simultaneously.
Yes.
Okay, who leads the United States right now?
The Republic or the Corporation?
The Republic.
The military of the United States.
Okay, so whoever's in charge of the military right now is in charge of this country.
There's 256 admirals and generals that are running the country right now, yes.
Not one man.
Nope, not one man.
There's
a commander-in-chief over the military right now, and that commander-in-chief is Donald Trump. Biden is the president of the Corporation United States Incorporated.
Wait a minute.
18, Section 3 of the United States Code.
What is Trump's position currently?
He's the commander-in-chief of the Republic.
Okay. So Trump is still in power. So what is he running for in November?
President of the corporation, so he can collapse the corporation, so it will be finalized with the Second Declaration of Independence.
Okay, who's running the corporation right now?
Biden. Well, the people who run Biden.
You said Biden's no longer alive, though.
Right. Well, Biden's being played by Arthur Roberts.
When did Biden perish?
It was in 2018, and I looked that up after the last time we talked, and it was in Guantanamo Bay.
Okay, and Hillary Clinton perished there as well.
Yes, sir.
What year she perished?
In 2018 as well.
Okay. Did Biden perish in the same manner? I know Hillary Clinton was hung. Did Biden perish in the same manner as Hillary?
They both received the consequences of a military tribunal, which,
Okay.
if you look it up, according to the Constitution, a military tribunal ends when found guilty and hanging in public.
Okay.
So public was Guantanamo Bay.
So others witnessed both of their lives being taken.
Yes. And in the account from what I've heard about Hillary, she cussed out Trump. Who was there.
I bet she did. All right. So both of them now, they were, according to you, they lost their life. They never had a day in court. We never heard about either one of these individuals being found guilty.
It hasn't become public yet, but it will be.
Secret court hearings?
Actually, no. Actually, I take that back, Tim, because it did hit the news one time. And I sent you the video of that. It hit the news one time. It was at midnight, and it was somewhere in the east. And then if you look it up, you could also look it up on their websites, and you'll find the tribunals that have taken place on Guantanamo Bay since.
Wait, the death of a president. Wait, you're saying the death of the president hit the news sometime at midnight on the east. Shouldn't that be a worldwide event?
Hillary Clinton, I mean. No, well, it's going to be. You'll see. It's going to be.
Why so long? Why isn't it in news already? Why isn't Trump telling us what happened to these people publicly?
Because it has to be finalized through the ending of the corporation. See, if there's nobody on the stage in January, then the corporation completely falls. It collapses. And when it collapses, the Republic can take back over.
What is the purpose of the corporation?
The corporation's been enslaving us all, and it's been corrupting the world. It's Zionist rule, and it'll always be corrupt so long as it remains.
Okay. Now, in the comments on YouTube, a good question was presented. I don't see the name of the person, but when you mentioned Hillary Clinton and you mentioned Joe Biden, the question was, so Trump assassinated people, because Trump is the one talking about a weaponized justice system. You're suggesting that Trump used the justice system to take out his opposition. Is that correct?
It wasn't Trump, though. No, it was the 256 generals and admirals and high-ranking military officials. It was not Trump. Trump was a tool for them. So it's been something that's been going on for a long time, for more than 30 years.
Yeah. And no official evidence that we can readily turn to this, to discuss any of this. I mean, if I want to see something that reads out that Hillary Clinton is no longer alive, where would you direct me to?
Go into the Department of Justice website, go into the Supreme Court's website, and look up the military tribunals, and you'll find them there.
That both of these folks are gone.
It's plain and simple.
Now, I saw the State of the Union address last month. Who the hell was up there giving that?
Arthur Roberts.
Who's Arthur Roberts?
He's a C-level actor from the 80s.
And he's posing as Biden.
He's playing Biden publicly. You can Google that as well.
So when Trump supporters and MAGA are making fun of Biden falling down, they're making fun of something that's not even reality. So MAGA don't know what they're talking about.
No, Biden's an actor on stage in costume. It's all a show.
So the person falling down is doing it deliberately.
Yeah, he's an actor. He's an actor on stage in costume.
Wow. All right. But I tell you, I'm surprised you survived this time, man. So
man. I'm trying to be a little calm because of that.
Yeah, I'm surprised as well. So real quick, because I brought this up earlier, Letitia James is in the news again. She don't prove that two conservatives were cheating in the 2020 election. Do you believe Trump won that election?
Yeah, for the most part.
Who did he beat?
That's just it, Tim. That's why I can't really even. What can you even say? You know what I mean? The whole thing's a show. Yeah, I don't focus on those things like that because I know they're just a show. It's all actors on stage in costumes, the whole thing.
So at the very least,
you have to understand that the underlying effect that they're having on us is this. Nobody understands common law right, which is key because that's our law. If we are under the rule of law, then the law we need to understand is the law of the land. And what we don't understand is common law. We understand admiralty law. And that being the case, we don't understand our rights, nor do we understand the Constitution, nor do we understand the Bill of Rights, which all of those things would liberate us completely from all of these things by our own doing.
Well, so how do you respond to folks who hear what you're saying? Like Name Barber, certainly a friend of the program on YouTube. Intelligence is key and he's locked out. Do people suggest that you don't know what the hell you're talking about when you say this stuff?
All the time. Why do you think my name is Pincho Vato Loco? That means fucking crazy guy in Spanish. But they can all go look it up for themselves. They can look up the U.S. code. You can look up the UCC code. You can look up all the law you want. If you understand common law, look up common law. Look up the definition between the two. Look up the difference of them. Law is an acronym. It means land, air, and water. And there's 3 different types of law that are focused on in every country in the world. And it's not my fault. I didn't design it, but go look up Black.
But based on what you're saying, Trump is a flat out liar, according to you, because Trump is going around town talking about Biden, hold on.
He's no more a liar than any one of the other actors. You have to understand, he's an actor on stage in costume.
Yeah, but you're comparing an actor to someone, according to you, that's actually running the country, trying to run both the corporation and the republic. You're comparing them to an actor. Now, what generally happens when I talk to Pinche Vato Loco is what just took place. He got removed from the program. It happens. He gets banned. He's always welcome back. Look, his commentary is controversial. I get it. But when I tell you folks, we go left of Bernie Sanders to I'm having dinner with QAnon. Damn it, I mean it. Perhaps you just saw an example of that. We do believe in allowing folks to speak. So it is what it is. But yeah, he's welcome back to the program anytime. Looking in the comments, nuttier than a squirrel. Oh my God. Says, I can't see the name there. DC says nuttier than a squirrel. Wow. Okay, start taking calls from YouTube. They never kick YouTubers off. I got to figure out how to do that, Josie Wells. I do and would like to do that. Got to get back to work. Have a good day. You too there, Vero, I think it says. Thank you. Appreciate you coming on the program. Appreciate you folks that are tapping the screen. We're almost at 100,000. I would appreciate getting me over the hill. Helps out the algorithm, brings in more MAGA. We've done pretty good today, so thank you for the participation. Let your thumbs not be lazy. Same on YouTube. Smash that like button. Subscription, if you will. Follow, if you will, on TikTok. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone. I don't know how much more we can say of that. You've certainly seen your spiel of it for today. The one and only Andy. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program, Andy.
So basically, did he just tell us the Republican Party can't be trusted and they're all lying to us?
He definitely said they were lying. I think that's pretty clear.
Well, I mean, if they're all actors and it's all a show, then everything they do is duplicitous. That checks.
Well, but he believes it's for the best of this country. It's on behalf of the nation.
Really, what happened? What he said? What happened to Guantanamo? I was sitting there. My husband walked in and he goes, "Really? Like really?" I was like, "Yep, that's what I hear every day, honey." He was like, "No, like really?" I was like, "Yep."
Yeah. Well, he's not the only one, though, Andy. I've talked to several folks who believe Hillary Clinton is no longer with us.
I told him that.
Yeah.
He just can't believe that people are like. He's not used to seeing people that are that divorced from reality.
Well, they look at liberals and say the same thing. They look at liberals and say, yeah.
That's okay, though, because at least the stuff I hand you, I can prove.
Yeah. Well,
there's backing and documentation for a lot of it.
Well, he did suggest that there is documentation that both Hillary and Biden have perished. He stated there's documentation.
Well, I saw Hillary out raising money, and I'm pretty sure I know what she looks like after all these years. And yeah, she looked pretty healthy to me.
What about a well made up actress?
Look, Biden may be starting to look like the puppet from that comedian, but he's still Biden, okay? Let's just be honest.
Yeah, and the issue I have with it
doesn't look like Walter. That's it. That's the puppet.
Yeah, the issue I have with it is if Biden and Hillary are no longer with us, the fact that Trump is going around constantly criticizing them, it would make Trump look bad. I mean, because he suggested, well, Trump wants, a certain period of time so that we can get rid of the corporation and the truth comes out. That's fine. But you don't have to keep talking about people that are dead, pretending like they're alive. So that would make Trump look really bad.
Well, it'd make him look like the same as when he thinks he's running against Obama.
Yeah.
Or when he's talking about Nancy Pelosi and saying Nikki Haley. It's all about the same.
Yeah. So I want to ask you one of the things we were talking about earlier in the program. I don't know if you were here or not, but
No, today is my birthday. I've been out having a good day.
no, well, happy birthday. Let me go ahead and ruin it for you because we're going to talk about abortion. Now,
Okay, that's fine.
Arizona just passed an exceptionally strict abortion law. Today, the Supreme Court ruled that they can continue using an abortion law back from the late 1800s that only allows abortion if the mother's life is in danger. So rape, incest, none of that is there. The question I want to ask though is, when folks on the right say it's not about, taking away women's rights, it's about returning it to the states. Yet when every state puts it up for a vote, the people actually vote pro-choice, but the states try to prevent it. Is it really about returning it to the states? What say you, Andy?
I say it's about controlling women. That's why the birth control is on the docket.
What do they want to do with that, by the way?
Well, the Supreme Court wants to rule that it's not constitutional for women to need to have birth control. Because, God forbid we quit being incubators.
So what, in your opinion, banning abortion, screwing around with in vitro, as you're talking about now, birth control, what is the end goal? I mean, I get the control part, but what is the end goal of doing this?
They want to go back to Christian times where women were submissive and obeyed, and that ship has sailed. So...
But yet women keep voting Republican. If what you're saying is true...
Really? Because Alabama... District 10, 69% went to a woman who ran on women's rights. And I saw her commercial. It showed her and a woman who had to drive 10 hours to get the care she needed to save her life. And people resonated with looking at this woman who just wanted to save her child and went, no, this is not acceptable. And that is going to happen across the country. I told you.
But
that's just the first really big representation.
But with the border crisis under Biden, you think the abortion
is
debate?
Your rights more important than the border? Think about that for a second. If you're somebody that don't have rights, which is more important to you, your personal rights or keeping somebody else from having rights?
Yeah, well, I don't think they care. I mean, if you're a man and you're not likely to have an abortion, or you're a woman in your 50s,
you don't care. But we're 53% of the population, and Joe Biden told them at the speakers, the State of the Union, women have political power. And you're about to see how much. And the very next election was Alabama District 10, 69% blue in an all-red district.
So you're predicting a blue wave.
Yeah, don't mess with women. We're mad. When they said an egg was a human, that was just a bridge too far. I mean, we're not even talking about abortion anymore. We're talking about women being able to have a pregnancy without being criminalized.
Wow.
Because how long do they start looking at those miscarriages and going, was that intentional?
Yeah. And I said that before. I do believe that if you make abortion illegal, killing the life of the unborn, if you make that a crime or if you refer to that as murder, if a woman has a miscarriage, it's very similar to a child dying, in the hands of a parent. Let's investigate it and make sure it wasn't negligence. I mean, I do see that happening where women that are having miscarriages could find themselves being investigated on whether they committed murder or not. I mean, I can see that.
There's a whole movement going on in South Korea called the 4B movement, where women are no longer getting married, they're no longer dating men, and they're just giving up on the whole thing.
Oh, come on. Now, that's going a bit too far. I mean...
And there are women in Korea saying that's not going on, but there are plenty of women that say there are, and that movement is moving across the country and across the world because women are tired. We're just tired.
Well, if you vote right, you shouldn't have to be dealing with this. It ain't like...
Well, if they didn't gerrymander the districts and cheat and lie and, manipulate the Supreme Court, then maybe we wouldn't have these problems.
Yeah, but I don't want to get to the point where women don't like us. I mean, what are you trying to make me go find a goat or something? You can't turn your back on us men. I mean, we need some loving, as Heavy D once said.
Look, I know a lot of my friends, if you're not liberal, you're not getting any. That's just the new rule.
If you're not liberal, you're not getting any. Wow. So, no chance. Let's say, for instance, you and your husband are no longer together. No chance you date a Republican.
No. Oh, no. Not in a million years.
Wow. Strictly based on politics.
Look, you know what my husband gave me this morning for my birthday to just make me happy and laugh? He's buying me a new computer anyway, but he wanted to have something to give me, so he bought me a little figurine, and it's a Trump figurine in a prison jumpsuit.
Oh, damn.
That's how good my husband is.
Well, at the end of the day, I got to move it on, but Trump is not going to do any time in jail. You don't think he's going to jail, do you?
At most, I think he'd do house arrest. Do I think he's guilty? He admitted to some of those crimes along the way. I mean, if you listen to him, never once has he said, I didn't do it. He said, I need immunity. He said, I need a pardon. But he ain't said I didn't do it. He didn't say he's sorry.
It's a witch hunt. That's what he said. It's a witch hunt.
Yeah. Well, in witch hunts, they caught witches, didn't they?
Damn. I got to go, Andy. Good talk.
Tim, thank you.
Anytime. Wanted to address Name Barber. Thank you, by the way, for that super chat. You did say, wait, if they're all lying us. This is in regards to my previous caller suggesting that Trump and folks on the right are not telling us that Hillary Clinton and Biden are no longer alive. He said, if they're all lying to us, how can we trust them to tell the truth about them when they're not? When they're like, that is a good point. In other words, to get clarity on it, if they're not telling us that Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden were basically executed, according to my last caller, for treason in Guantanamo, or that they left a second Declaration of Independence, if they're not telling us the truth about that, what else are they lying about? That's a great question to present. I mean, what else is he not? If you know Hillary or Biden is no longer there, or you know Biden is some type of an actor, and yet you're going on rallies making it sound like the guy's still alive, what else are you saying that we can't trust? That is a really good point. What else are you lying about? Real quick, it's just something to ponder. What else might you be lying about? Real quick, looking in the comments. All you have to do is think of it as a movie. Yeah, it's a bad movie, though, dude. Bad movie. Ryan.
What's the good word, Tim?
Hillary Clinton. We've gotten rid of her. What say you?
I kind of got lost in the in all of the. I forgot what the topic even was. So it's about Hillary Clinton being.
Well, no, I had a guest on that has suggested that both Hillary Clinton and Biden were taken out for treason by the orders of President Trump. Essentially, he suggested the military runs the country, but Trump is ahead of all of that. So Trump is still in charge, but he's not in charge of the republic. So there's of the corporation rather. The country is the republic, and there's the corporation on the side. It's complicated, but Trump wants to get rid of the corporation and merge it all under the republic.
Yeah, I mean, it's clear that he wants autocracy and doesn't want, yeah. But some of the points that are made, these people contradict themselves every other word. It's just kind of hard to follow. I want to be open-minded about it, but it's tough to follow, Tim. I don't know.
Any chance? I mean, if Trump is trying to get rid of the corporation and bestow power to the republic, any chance we can chalk you up as being on the Trump train?
I mean, way back when he got elected, 2016, I didn't vote for him, but I said, you know what? I don't really care who I voted for. I want progress. I want results, right? I honestly don't care. And I've never really considered myself attached to one party or the other. I just look for results. And I'm not beholden. If I vote for a guy and I think he's not getting the job done, I'm not going to vote for him the next election cycle.
So then let me ask you the obvious question. Is Biden currently getting the job done?
I think he is absolutely killing it. The numbers don't lie. The economy is better than it has been in the modern era. And that's just fact. You cannot deny that the jobs numbers, the stock market is just through the roof, breaking records. Like
broke records on 2 different occasions here in the past year. It's like crazy. It's like, I mean, you can even hear them on Fox News. They're trying to find ways to make it sound bad, like maybe the economy's too good, you know? Because what are they talking about cutting rates for if the economy is this good? That doesn't make sense. I mean, you know it's bad when, you know, they're scrambling to find a way. And again, I don't care if it's Republican or Democrat or whatever. Just get the job done. Let me see the results. And it speaks for itself. And inflation is global, people. If you want to talk about inflation, and the U.S. has conquered inflation better than any other first world nation.
Then I got to come at you with the
They've rebounded. We've rebounded like. Anyway, go ahead.
I got to come at you with the second barb, and I will agree with you that even the right-wing analysts, economic analysts, are admitting, you know, the Neil Cavutos, the Charles Paynes of Fox News, even they're admitting that the economy is doing better than folks expected. The recession didn't happen last year. But what I want to ask you is a second issue. What about the border? You think Biden's doing a good job there?
I think the border is a political football, and to be honest with you, it drives me nuts. It's been a political football for decades. It's nothing new. You don't hear about the border until it's an election cycle. Then it's all anyone else.
I got to disagree. They've been talking about the border under Biden the whole time, from basically from the beginning. It's particularly when he didn't allow the remain in Mexico from Trump. When he allowed that to expire, they've been on Biden the whole time about the border.
So yeah, what does he do? They try to get something going. They get Senator Langford from Kansas to get on board from the Republican side to help them get a deal done. He works to get a fantastic deal done that gives them everything they had been asking for previously. Everything they've been asking for and then some. And yet they kiboshed it. Why? Because Trump wants to run on the border crisis. They want to accentuate the border crisis, and you have to admit it doesn't get talked about.
Yeah, but Ryan, I agree with you. I agree with you. I agree with you that Trump shot down the border bill, but that border bill is only a couple months old. Folks have been suggesting the border's a mess under Biden since he took office. He didn't do anything for like 3 straight years.
How long did it take? That thing took the better part of 6 months to try to get going. And what you have to look at and have to realize is, look at, if you want to break it down to a party thing, what meaningful legislation has the GOP pushed forward? What meaning to help the average American? Nothing.
Well, we're talking about the border. Now okay.
It's been women's rights, and they squawk about the border, and as soon as we try to get something done about the border, they shoot it down. It's like, literally, that's been one of the only things you've bitched about for all this time, and now you're telling me you're going to shoot it down? Yeah. And there was no poison pill in this. There was no poison pill. There was nothing in it. You know, it's
well, like, the money for wars, the Ukraine and Israel was a poison pill with them. After Trump got a hold of him.
It was not attached. It absolutely was not attached. And Senator Langford, if you listen to him speak on the floor, he broke down all of the details. He understood why people were concerned. But he said it's false. The things that you think are going to kill this thing aren't really true. Like this 5,000 people coming across and all these things. He said these are all just bad intel. And it's people just trying to scare the crap out of you so that you can just squash the bill, and then Trump can say, look how bad the border is. Biden's terrible. Give me something to go on here. Because the economy is killing it. He can't talk about the economy. He can't. Because the U.S. is killing it. Out of all the G7 nations, they handled inflation better than anyone and rebounded faster and bolder.
Well, let me ask you this. In regards to your suggestion that Biden is killing on the border, if that is true, and not the economy, my fault. Yeah. In regards to Biden killing it with the economy, and as I admitted, the analysts tend to agree with that. Why are there so many Americans that feel otherwise? That they feel groceries are too high, gas prices are too high, inflation. I mean, they don't feel what folks are suggesting.
Inflation is real, because inflation is real, but it's global. It's not a U.S. thing. It's not a Biden thing. And if you want to get down to it, Trump's deal to cut oil production is what put this thing in motion. it killed the economy. It killed the economy. It was unprecedented what he did. There was no other possible outcome than for us to hit a huge freaking snag. And it started with just oil and gas, but then that trickled out because that runs the entire world. And it made inflation explode.
So you believe Trump is responsible for worldwide inflation?
Absolutely. Just do the research on the oil and gas. When he made that deal with Russia, and he made it about the oil. It was Russia and the UAE about the oil production. He had them cut the oil production significantly. I don't know what the exact number was, but it was more than 10%, which was huge. Never been done before. It was unprecedented.
Why isn't Biden?
Just curb it. And what it did, it didn't happen overnight, but it took 1, 2, 3 years, and then all of a sudden, bam.
Why isn't the likes of Biden and Kamala? Okay, why isn't the likes of Biden and Kamala Harris going around the country saying what you're saying? Now, a lot of folks don't believe it regardless, but at least putting this in their ear. Why aren't they going around telling folks this? Because a lot of Democrats bite the economy sucks under Biden.
Yeah, it's a good point. There's a lot of things about politics that make me scratch my head, and that's why I say both parties aren't clean as a whistle. No way. Like insider trading, there's a lot of stuff that's like, I know a lot of bills get squashed on both sides that try to curb this whole phenomenon, and they don't want it to happen. But yeah, I wonder that myself, but I don't know what that is exactly. If they're maybe worried about throwing other nations under the bus, being tied to this thing, I don't know. But if you follow a guy, his name is Mr. Global.
I've heard of him.
Mr. Global. He's an oil and gas guru. He has his own company, and he's a consultant. And he will break the oil and gas thing down to a T. And he's not affiliated with any party. He considers himself a centrist, if you will. And he just spins facts. He just tells you exactly what is and what isn't. And the oil and gas industry is really at the crux of so much that runs the world and the economy throughout the entire world.
All right, fair enough. I do gotta move it on, Ryan. But yeah, I think Biden needs to get out there and do a better job in delivering this message.
Get that message out. Yeah.
All right, appreciate it, Ryan. Thank you for coming through.
Thanks,
now, I was watching The Breakfast Club, one of the YouTube channels I often watch. Now, this is the place where Biden made that statement, "Vote for me or you ain't black," that's gotten a lot of attention. Well, the guy that was hosting that Biden yelled, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. The guy that hosts the program, Charlemagne, that Biden yelled that statement at, he recently said Trump's lies are better than Biden's truths. In other words, Trump does a better job at telling a lie than Biden does at telling the truth. I'm not going to go in and debate that or not, but the point is, Biden does not do a good job delivering his message. Even if you look, as a politician, you're going to tell some truths, you're going to tell some lies. That happens. Barack Obama, you want your doctor, you can keep your doctor. George H.W., read my lips, no new taxes. Bill Clinton, I did not have sex with that woman. They got weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. George W., they all lie, period. They all tell a lie. But it does work in their favor when they're constantly telling you what their direction is for America or how their policies are benefiting you. Biden, I don't know if it's due to his age, due to his cognitive abilities, or he just want to stay out of the limelight. By him not going around and holding all of the rallies like Trump has, constantly talking to the people on the internet, whatever the case may be, he's at a disadvantage because he leaves it up to the people to come up to their own conclusions. And by not speaking to the people, you essentially leave it open to your detractors to speak to the people in your absence and say nothing but negative things about you. I get a lot of folks on the program, like my last guest, that speaks very favorably of President Biden. A lot of Democrats don't know that stuff. Never heard of it before. It should be coming from Biden, not folks on social media. That information should be coming from Biden. And when I say coming from Biden, damn it, I don't mean having to go to whitehouse.gov and read where he typed it in. He should be on stage in Baltimore, Birmingham, Wherever you name, he should be on stage in those places giving that message. I state all the time. I went to a Trump rally a little bit over 4 months ago. When I was in line, I had to be in line for 5 or 6 hours waiting to go to the rally, waiting to get in, which is typical for a Trump rally. While I was waiting to get in, you know what Trump was doing? He was in another town about 150 miles away holding a rally. Then he came where we were and held a rally where we were, and the next day he was somewhere else doing it again. The fact that Biden does not do that is a detriment to Biden. And it also leads people to believe he doesn't have the cognitive ability to do so and that Trump can do it. Now, that's not to suggest that Trump is telling the truth every time he speaks. But damn it, you get credit as a politician for speaking. If I'm selling vacuum cleaners door to door and you're trying to sell vacuum cleaners as well, I could go to all my customers and lie about the quality of the product. I'm going to get more sales than you sitting at home hoping they go online and find your product. Being out in the public talking to the people has its benefits. Biden does not do that. So I do believe it's really hurting him. Looking in the comments, TB says he is speaking, shaking my head. He don't speak enough. He does not speak enough. Too many Democrats believe the economy sucks under Biden. If it's doing as well as my last guest said, that's what Democrats should be saying. Or they should be voting for somebody else because they believe Biden is a lie. Democrats are not echoing what Biden is saying. They're just not doing that. You look at MAGA, they're listening to Trump. When Trump says the country, the economy is going in a certain direction, or his vision is this, you instantly hear them echoing it because he's talking to the people. Trump talks to the people so damn much, they're actually saying things like bird brain and crooked Hillary and sleepy Joe Biden because he's getting his message out there. Biden ain't doing, I'm not saying Biden should be name calling, but he certainly should be telling his message better than he. If you think Biden is doing a sufficient job in regards to talking to the people, that's a problem. That's a problem for you as a voter, a problem for him as a politician. I do believe that is the biggest detriment to Biden, is he don't talk to the people enough. In the argument, well, I'm too busy running the country, when Trump was president, he talked to the people the entire time. Obama did it too. So it does make folks believe that Biden is old, out of his faculties, needs to be in bed at 5 o'clock at night and can't do it. Maybe all that's wrong, but people are going to judge him on what they see, and they don't see much of President Biden. Nevertheless, folks, I do appreciate the 109,000 likes on the program. We run an uncensored format, Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Appreciate you folks tapping the screen. Appreciate the likes on YouTube. If you enjoy civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle, without the host block, banning, or censoring you, you are in the right place. Follow the program, a subscription, if you will. It's your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. See you tomorrow. For my YouTubers as well, thank you for the support. Thank you for the participation. Name Barbara, thank you for your support as well. Catch you tomorrow.